Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the great turnout. Appreciate you. I'm Mike Lackey. I'm the new board president for the 2026 calendar year. We're starting a little early. The purpose of today's meeting is a special called meeting, so there really won't be any time for normal interaction because it's a special called meeting and that's not on the agenda. What we're trying to do today is to flush out the committees so that staff can start reserving the rooms and start getting the committee structure put together, and so that the committees have time to get ready for their meetings. Typically in the past, this was done behind in an executive session, and they just handed out what's going on. But we promise to let you guys see how the inner workings are. We're not trying to hide anything from anybody. We don't want any hidden agenda or anything else. The whole idea is to let you see who was nominated, who wanted to run for the positions, and we'll vote on them individually. Couple of things we want to clear up though. The non-disclosure agreement that previous boards had to sign has been declared null and void. So the four things that we're not allowed to talk about with you guys are contract negotiations, individual personnel matters, HR matters, discipline, things like that. Legal matters including litigation, contemplated, threatened, or existing, and security matters as to how we make the village safe. You know, obviously there'll be issues that we can't publish. So those are the only four things that really we're going to keep confidential and in the executive session. So it should help our executive sessions go a little faster than they used to. I'll leave it at that. Since this is a special board meeting, its agenda, unlike the agendas for regular board meetings, is limited to the purpose laid out in the special called meeting notice. That was put out earlier and everything else. What we're going to do is do the appointment of the voting members of the standing committee that are already approved, appointment of the voting members of the 2026 advisory committees, and adoption of the board directors resolutions to freeze hiring, spending, and activities of the TVPOA pending further clarification to the new board. Okay? We are taking all those actions in this public meeting in order to comply with our bylaws, which call for public meetings on every matter, which is not one of 4 bylaws made confidential. The majority of this meeting will consist of board appointments to the voting members of the 2026 advisory committees. That will make this meeting necessarily long. I saw the calendar up there. Don't believe it, Karen. Thank you. But we're making an appointment now so that the committees can follow their normal schedule as soon as 2026 starts. Since special meetings are limited to the purposes specified in the meeting call, and the call and agenda for this meeting do not include a public comment period, This special meeting will not include a public comment period. Our regular meetings will always include that. Do you want, well, may I finish? What? What happened?
Carla lied to you. She had no business doing this. She's on the golf committee. She's on timeless telecoms. There's conflicts of interest. She's wrong. I know exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, hey, guys, let's not let this devolve for a second. What we're doing today is appointing the committee members so that they can get their business going, and we're going to look at 2 spending resolutions. That's it.
Why no comments on the spending resolution?
Because, okay, if we have time at the end, I'll entertain that. But let's get them out there. Let's get them out there, and then if we have time at the end, we're going to do this. Is that fair? Okay. Before we vote? Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Apparently, there's been some other false rumors out there that we are editing golf. That's not the case, not in this meeting. And anything that you heard to that is contrary to what this meeting is about. So please take that with a grain of salt and remember where you got it, because it's not what the board's doing. We'll leave it at that. There's an important update regarding the TPUC challenge that we're in right now. The board has engaged a gentleman named Henry Walker, and he's literally the dean of the TPUC lawyer structure. He was once on the TPUC at one time, and he took a notice in our case before we even reached out to him. So we have engaged his law firm to help represent us in that, and hopefully we'll get a good resolution in the near future, okay? So we've done that. I understand that Ed's got a comment he'd like to make.
Yeah, at last meeting after the board meeting, I was nominated and voted for secretary position. And after reviewing the bylaws and stuff, that I don't feel that is in my strengths. So I'm going to ask to be declined that position and have somebody else to be voted into that position. Thank you.
Is there a nomination for somebody to assume Ed's position?
Yes, I nominate David Taylor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by raising your hand. 6 and 1 abstain. Thanks, Ed. Thanks for your service. Appreciate it.
Believe me, I didn't raise my hand on purpose.
I see that. So we're going to go down that way. Right now, we're going to move on down to the members of the audit committee. This was done in private last year. Nobody knew about it. You guys don't even know there is an audit committee. There's 21 separate committees in the POA. We're going to try to consolidate some of those in this upcoming year so that we don't have so many meetings to go to ourselves. It's time consuming for us. A lot of them don't really bring value. Some of them never even met their goals, and we'll be restricting one of those this year too that didn't meet any of its 4 goals last year. And we'll consolidate that and put it into it. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to nominate the voting members of the audit committee. No? Yeah, you're the audit committee chairman. Come on, man.
So, yes, I would like to nominate Kerry Brown. Doug, voting.
Go ahead and get them all.
Doug Sloan, Scott Brown, and Sherry Oswald as part of the audit committee.
Are there any additional names?
No.
I mean, Carly, you got your mic on.
Well, I did volunteer to serve just because it was very much a surprise, at least to me, and I think maybe to at least one other board member, that property owners who are not elected board members were nominated to serve on the audit committee. Historically, the audit committee has been a board committee, And according to our bylaws, what we are charged to do with the audit committee is that the treasurer of the association, meaning the POA, its general manager and director of finance, in our case would be the CFO, will serve as non-voting ex officio members of the audit committee. The treasurer, which is the treasurer of the board, will serve as a voting ex officio member of the audit committee. And what our job is to do is to appoint at least three members to this standing committee, the audit committee. That members in the bylaws in this case refers to members of the board. When it refers to property owners, they are referred to as owners. So David Taylor specified I think it was David, said at the December board meeting that it doesn't specify in the bylaws that they can't be property owners, that they have to be board members. However, what we are charged with doing is appointing three members of the board to the standing committee. And then later, when it explains the audit committee, it tells the ex officio non-voting and voting members. So the way that Tellico Village works, our governance model, is that you elect a board of directors who then have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for the board, and we also adhere to a code of ethics and, are accountable to the people for what we do as board members. To put non-elected board members on this committee doesn't seem to be in the spirit of our bylaws. While it doesn't say you can't do it, what it does do is tell us what we are supposed to do. And what we are supposed to do is appoint three board members to this committee. So for that reason, because it doesn't follow our governing documents, I cannot support putting non-elected board members on the audit committee.
David?
Mike, I have to make a couple of corrections to that. The bylaws refer uniformly all through them to the lot owners in the village as members. In the bylaws, that's what members means. And the bylaws say we are to appoint at least three members to the audit committee. I understand the treasurer is seeking the assistance of people with expertise in the field, and we've identified three who have that. Their biographies have been available for at least a month to all the members of the board. They have professional expertise that's going to assist Joel and assist the work of the committee.
In that space, wasn't Mike Harrington on that committee last year? And Doug Sloan? And they weren't elected committee members.
They were appointed by the board as finance advisory committee.
And here we are.
I'm just telling you, I don't support it.
That's
I
fine.
don't feel like it follows our bylaws, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. And there's, to have that accountability, I mean, these people are serving on, obviously we put a lot of, and I have not served on the Finance Advisory Committee. There are people here who have. There's I'm certain a confidentiality agreement or a code of ethics that our Finance Advisory Committee members.
There's a confidentiality agreement in place. That'll be there. That's in all the committees.
I mean, we
And
can argue it all day, Mike, but I can't
They will
support
sign the
it.
code of
Well, that's
ethics
fine.
just like
You
we
can vote
do,
no.
and just like every committee member does.
My question on these are, our finances are pretty complex. Coming in cold is really a difficult thing to take a look at these finances and the details, especially when you're doing a full audit on that with the auditor. So I'm supporting what Carla and in the past we'd have board members on this committee because we're dealing with the finances every month. We see the 70-page document of the finances every month. We go over it in board meetings. So I'm not going to support this also to have non-board members on the audit committee.
Did you support Harrington last year?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
because he was the finance chairman, so he
Okay.
was dealing with
And
the
Doug
finance.
Sloan?
And Doug Sloan, he was the assistant. He was on the finance committee last.
Okay.
do so, both, yes.
Joel, you want to address your nominations and give them a little background about the people that you are encouraging to be here?
Yes, thanks, Mike. So, again, myself as a board member and Carrie as a board member will be on that committee. The three people, Doug Sloan, who is, obviously has a lot of experience working on the Finance Committee, and I believe he was like second in charge on a lot of the issues, and he's an impressive individual. Scott Brown works for the Big Five accounting firms, and he's done auditing all his life. Impressive resume. Please look at that. It's quite, you can see what a great fit it is for him to be there. And Sherry Oswald also has a great accounting background and a lot of finance, and she's been very involved in standing up in a lot of the meetings. So she's studying our budgets very closely. She's asked some very probing questions. She goes to the finance meetings. She's very well-spoken, very well-thought, and very experienced. So I feel that we've got a great mixture. Now, don't forget that Matt is also on this committee, as well as Judy. They're non-voting members, but they're part of that committee. So there's a lot of transferable knowledge that's coming with this. So I feel very comfortable we have the right team established with the right skill set to do the best job possible in looking at our finances. Thank you.
Might add that it's a standard good business practice periodically to have fresh eyes come in from the outside, bringing expertise with them. It's a good idea to do that for any business periodically.
That's why we hire an independent audit firm every year.
And why our board members have term limits.
Know who was on the committee last year? We had 3 board members, John Orr, Steve Schneider, and Mike Braddock was the chair. And then we had Mike Harrington representing the FAC chair position, and then myself and Matt.
Is there a motion to approve the board members as nominated?
You've got a motion from Joel. I'll second it.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed? Very good, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Compensation Committee.
Mr. President, I move to appoint the following voting members of the 2026 Compensation Committee. Treasurer Joel Reed, Ed Grollemond, Larry Godwin, and Carrie Brown.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
On the question, any discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Let the vote show 7-0. That one went a little faster. Finance Advisory Committee. Can you bring that up, Karen? The ballot, this is what we get as part of the board members. And you guys, they've done this in executive session before. That doesn't fit one of the 4 tenets of what's supposed to be in the executive session. So these are the nominees or the applicants they put in. They actually put forth a application to be here and volunteer for our village at the awesome rate of pay that we provide everybody. And so these people are, first of all, I just thank them, period, for their efforts and their desire to help the village. And I just want them to be recognized. Now, we're only going to, how many are we filling here? Karen, we're filling 3? So at this time, 4? One's a, okay. You can see the names of people that are offered to be here. What I would like to do is go down each name. Each board member gets 4 votes. Karen, 4?
Yes. Mike Harrington is fulfilling the vacated position of Donald McQuaid, so he's 1. And then Scott Brown, 3, 7, Gordon Young, 3.
or the ones recommended?
And Sherry Oswald withdrew her application.
Mike, can I add something before we start
Sure.
voting? I'll just say this on behalf of myself, but I would bet that everyone sitting up here shares my opinion about this. I believe at any rate, and I think the board does, that the village is really fortunate to have a wealth of great applicants for all the advisory committees. And when we vote here, it's not because we see that any applicant is unqualified. We're just appointing the applicants who we believe to be the best committee members for this year. And I would certainly say, if you don't get elected, if you were an applicant and you don't get elected, please apply again next year. We
I think the
appreciate
entire
your
board
application.
echoes those thoughts.
Excellent. And I just want to make sure too, and I'm going to ask this to let every committee chair and that everybody that's applied has actually been interviewed. When I was on long-range planning, I thought it was if somebody applied, we interviewed, and sometimes we spent 12 hours interviewing people, you know, and I'd also like to know what the interview process is. And I think we need to standardize that, because from my understanding, it's grossly different across all different committees.
Well, I can understand it being different. We're looking for different skill sets.
Yeah, I know, question
I
should
mean,
be.
I don't-
Question would be the process.
Well, that's fair.
That's
And
process, yeah.
perhaps that's something we can put together this year.
I think that's something the board needs to look at.
And that's a fair challenge.
Okay.
In that space, so Harrington is taking over. Joel, this is your committee, so help me out here.
McLeod's abandoned, he left his post after 1 year, so.
Doesn't the board have to reappoint him?
Yeah, Mr. President, the board has to appoint all the committee members. That's not just
We-
automatically done by someone else. Our bylaws are very clear about that. The board appoints.
So he
No one
filled out
else
a new
does.
application, and he's applying for the 2-year term.
Okay, so we
We did not appoint, he was already on the committee, Mike Harrington was.
fell off. His term was up.
And he's done at the end of this year, of 25, Mike Harrington.
Yeah.
And
So he's
Don,
reapplying.
he's reapplying to fill the 2-year position that is opened up because Don McLeod resigned in September, October of this year, and we did not fill the position for the remainder of 25.
We fill that slot, whether it's with Harrington or one of the others on this board. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir. They've all applied for a position, and we have 3 3-year terms and 1 2-year term up to be fulfilled right now.
Judy, so you said Sherry Oswald, as of what date?
Sometime in early December.
Okay, she is reinstated. She is
Okay,
interested.
I was not told that.
Okay.
And she also did not fulfill, she didn't answer the questions on the application. There was an application form that had, the second page of the application had where you were supposed to self-evaluate yourself in five or six categories, and she did not, everyone else turned in that form. She elected not to provide that information and chose to withdraw her application rather than fulfill the application form.
I have her application, it's complete.
It's page 2 of the standardized interview form is what she did not complete. That all committees are supposed to use those questions.
Let me open it up. I saw
Yeah.
her completing the application.
It's a standardized interview form that the questions are either asked during the course of the interview but the candidate is supposed to self-evaluate themselves on the form. Either way.
Mr.
It's not on the
President, I
form.
would observe about that. The appointment process, the board is very grateful for the assistance that the staff provides in doing forms and doing interviews. Ultimately, it's the board's decision what the application process is and what the membership of the committees is. The bylaws are really clear about this. No one else makes the rules, the board does.
Yeah, I look at her applications, it's complete, Judy, so I don't know, there's no
It's just a standardized form that it's a standardized form that we were instructed all committees are supposed to use in the course.
Who instructed?
It's an interview sheet.
Who instructed you to use that? If I
It's
may ask.
I believe it's a board-approved form. I mean, do we know where the form originated?
Has
I
every,
can-
let me ask, is every committee member done this self-evaluation afterwards?
I only know what my committee has done in the last 3 years since I've been here. I was instructed to use it, and I have used it.
I wasn't even aware of this second thing. Is there any other committee chairmans here who else is here? Any other directors that did the committees?
Joel,
Yes.
when I receive an application in the email, I send the application to the appropriate director along with the structured interview sheet. The structured interview sheets that you will see are in the folder with the applicant choices. Those applications have the interview sheets, not everyone that is in that originally applied.
Okay. So, I mean, all the attachments that I got from you doesn't have these questions on there, the self-evaluations. I'm not unaware of the self-evaluation. Am I alone, or is anybody else aware of these self-evaluations?
I'm ignorant in that space.
I believe you should have received the interview forms for the candidates that were recommended in your folder.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always been a part of the application that had self-evaluate you on these items, so going back,
This
going back about
process-
10 years, with long-range planning and stuff, that was always part of the form.
If somebody can look up, this process was changed when it used to be that the application was egregious. Nobody wanted to fill it out. People didn't want to be on the committees. Does anybody remember this? It used to be pages and pages and pages of application. Pat was on the board when this happened. Remind us, Pat, of how this what got here.
I don't see a green light. Try the other one. Pat, come up here. Pat, come up here.
Have a seat. But the mic's not, the mic doesn't.
Got your green light on?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to move it.
I'll hold it. So I was on the board when it was done. Rick Blauer rewrote it, and it was in a very egregious, long, drawn-out personal application form. And the one that is used now is used for 100% of the committees, correct? Mailed out through the POA office that we get to fill out and sign and send in to you guys for board approval. Now, let me, while I got this, one other thing. The reason this was not done in a public session and was done in an executive session is because you're discussing personnel matters. You have an issue that you will turn somebody down or not vote them, and no matter what you say with regard to they can reapply next year or whenever they want, you're still turning down a property owner that has applied for a position. We reviewed this in prior boards in the public session of the ones that were directed and voted on and approved by the board, as he said. That's why it was done that way. So be careful as you're having this discussion on this board that you don't discuss personnel issues, because you may embarrass a property owner.
That's a fair guidance, but I'm certain that our board is smart enough to understand what's personal and what's public. Obviously, when all of these decisions were made behind closed doors, nobody even got to know who was running. And what we're trying to do is allow them to know that we appreciate everybody's efforts, and rather than just get a Dear John letter at the end of the day, we get to get up here and put them up there and take credit for it. This is, they're working hard in this space, and we want to recognize all of them.
Mr. President, I'd also observe, we asked Kevin Stevens about this. This is not a personnel matter in the law. Individual personnel matters are about an employee. None of these people are employees, they're volunteers. And it's about things like pay, discipline, dismissal, that sort of thing. This is not a personnel matter.
And if I may add, so Judy, I just opened up a dozen of the ones that get in there. You have the applications on all a dozen. 4 of them have resumes attached, and that's it. I've never seen this self-assessment that you're referring to.
And Joel, I read all the applications. Maybe I'll learn better, but first year I thought I should. They vary a lot in how much information is there. Some people answer a lot, some people only answer a little, some people you can read your handwriting, their handwriting, some you gotta struggle a little bit. There's a great variety. This is, all of that process is here to help the board. It doesn't tell the board what it has to do.
Joel, have you defined if Sherry's still eligible? Yes. Okay.
Yes, Sherry is still eligible and interested. And what was the date of that?
Sure, you're not here, are you? Just checking. I mean, we could resolve this quick.
She left.
She withdrew her application on December 13th.
And I have December 15th, speaking room. So,
Why was that not shared with me as since, I mean, it's my advisory
you know,
committee.
all I know is
Member.
I talked to her about the audit committee and the FAC, and she said, I'm interested in both.
In the event that she decides to withdraw her application, if she is selected today, we can always back that out. I mean, look, Ed just backed out as secretary just a few minutes ago. We can handle this. Is there a motion to call for the vote? Or how many do we vote?
I call for the vote, Mr. Chairman, and I believe it's 4.
4, okay. So each board member will get 4 votes, okay? And when I call the name out, if you favor that person, raise your hand. Karen, can you keep track of this for us, please? Well, I'm rooting for you. Like David said earlier, if you don't get selected, it's just because we're limited in numbers and scope, and it's just like getting after it. All in favor of Harry Axt, please raise your hand. Let me rephrase this. This is for the 2-year position, okay? So you get 1 vote for the 2-year position, and then we'll go back and we'll vote for the other 3. Okay, go ahead, David.
Mr. President, would you entertain doing that in reverse order? Do
Sure.
the full terms first? It'll be easier for us to keep track in our heads, I think.
Okay, if you guys want to do it that way, we'll do it that way. 3-year board positions first. Harry Axt. No votes. Scott Brown. 7-0. Who else is it? Teresa, and I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry. Huh? Fisick. Thank you. I didn't butcher it. Teresa Fisick. Bob Fink. Mike Harrington.
Oh, sorry, never mind. He's for 2 years only. Cancel that.
Cancel the jam. Kurt Jason. Sherry Oswald. Mark Ricker. Gordon Young. How many times did you vote, Joel? 4. You get 3.
3, sorry.
Which one of those you want to change out on?
Gordon.
Okay. I'm watching you. All right, so the way I understand this right now, it's Scott Brown, Teresa, and I'm not gonna, Fesick, and Sherry Oswald were the three for the 3-year term.
One thing that I have to say, when we vote somebody that's already been on a committee, that's not been re-upping, they've put in hundreds of hours of this. I think it's a shame that when somebody's re-upping, they do not get voted unless there's a very, very good reason not to.
Probably because there's other good candidates. And we've also got to come through and get some new blood in, Ed, because eventually these guys are going to step off the committees, and we've got to have a bench.
I understand that. That's why the committees are rotated in 2-3-year terms, so that we have new blood and we have a variety of people. And they are, if you're worried about that, then term limit these committees. They are not term limited. So, but if somebody's willing to serve and has served and has done the job, I think it's a shame that they don't get re-voted in.
Duly
That's my
noted.
comment.
Mike, if I may?
Yeah.
So to add to your point, we have 2 people that are re-upping, so in only 1 position. So what do we do?
How can you have 2 people re-upping if there's only 1 position?
So we've filled, so we have 1 2-year position we're going to be voting for, and the 3 of those spots are not
So
filled
there's-
by those 2.
But, yeah, but there's 3 open spots, so he's re-upping for 1 of the open spots.
Oh, okay.
We just filled the 3.
I would like to thank Gordon Young for his service to the Finance Advisory Committee. And as far as I'm concerned, and I feel like that's probably true for the rest of the board, that it's not because he wasn't qualified or doing a great job, right? So thank you, Gordon, for your service to the Finance Advisory Committee and to your Tellico Village friends and neighbors. Appreciate you.
Now we'll move on to the 2-year position. Obviously, the 3 that were just elected are not up. Gordon can go into the 2-year position if he wants, but that's another decision. Harry Axt is still available for the 2-year position. Bob Fink. Mike Harrington. No, that kind of settled that. We don't need to pursue much further. Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Now we're going to move on. Bring the next one up for us, please. Food Services Committee.
Mr. President, we've got an order of business before we leave that committee.
Thank you.
Which is appointing the liaison, and I move to appoint Treasurer Joel Reed as the board liaison for the 2026 Finance Advisory Committee.
Are there any other contenders?
I'll second.
All in favor of Mr. Reed being the liaison? David, thank you for catching that. I appreciate it. Time for us to move on. Now then, there's a lot of interest here. There's some hungry people out there. I can see that right now. The ones that are asterisked are the recommendations by the committees. We're going to go on down there and look at this. How many are available here? 1, 2, 3 available? Karen? Okay, 3. Let's look at this. All in favor of Jim Barton as a re-up? You get 3 votes. 1, 2, okay. I'm marking you guys down as 2 votes already. Guy Calkins, all in favor of Guy? All in favor of Kevin Kloss? All in favor of Stephen Crumley? 5. All in favor of Bob Fink? All in favor of Mary Pat Hall? All in favor of Lisa Harrington? Step up to the mic, please.
The committee did recognize James Whitsley as part of it. I'm not sure why that's not up there. He's a Diamond 5-star chef. Oh, okay, I didn't see the asterisk.
There's a test on this later.
All right, sorry.
Could you turn the mic off for us, please?
Can we?
As somebody who survived elementary school with a last name far down the alphabet, I remind you, sometimes it's good to look down at the bottom.
No, the point is what.
He wasn't recommended.
I think that the audience may need to understand what the asterisks indicate on this list, right? And that was what the committee recommended. So
This-
what Tom was saying is that he believed that the committee recommended James
Whittlesey.
Whitsley. Is that correct, Tom? And he is not indicated as being recommended on this list.
Karen, did we have a typo? Did I screw up? Well, we've got it clarified. He should have an asterisk by his name. How's that?
Okay, so do we have 4 positions open as opposed to 3?
3.
Well, then there would not be 4 recommendations by the
Well, they can
committee.
make recommendations and we vote on them.
All right.
I mean,
Just
that's-
hasn't, just so far,
Yeah.
they've made recommendations for the number of spots they have open, so
well,
that's
maybe
why I
there's
was
a typo
surprised that
there
it
on
would
the
be
star or
different.
whatever. I don't know. We've completed Lisa Harrington. We're at Nadine Mazina.
Due to this confusion, I would ask that we start this committee again.
Want to renew it?
Yes,
Start from the
please.
top?
Yep.
Okay,
And strike all the votes that have been taken so far.
sure.
Ray, the reason we have 4 is Ray resigned from the committee. So he gave up his position, so there's 4 openings. We recommended 4, which was Jim Barton and Lisa and James and Kevin.
Okay. Appreciate it.
So
So we actually get 4 votes.
Apparently, we got I'm just going by what's up on the board. Yeah, we're going to start over. We get to vote 4 times. All right. Jim Barton is a re-up. All in favor? No, wait a minute. What are we doing here? Who's on first?
Sorry about that, Mike. No.
Do we get a mulligan on this?
Mulligan, please.
Okay. We're back to Jim Barton for a re-up. All in favor? 2. Okay. Guy Calkins? 0. Kevin Kloss? 7. There's one. Stephen Crumley? 1, 2, 5. Bob Fink? Mary Pat Hall? What? Did you vote?
Yeah.
You voted
I'm
for
doing
Fink?
Bob
Oh,
Fink too,
all right.
so
Did we like Bob Fink? Yeah, we
I
did.
get 4. Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
Bob got 4?
Yeah.
Mary Pat Hall? Lisa Harrington? 1, 2. Nadine M. No, I'm looking for help. You're not going to hurt my feelings. LaVon Mitchell. Jean Mitola. I got that one. Tim Myers. Ken Russell. James Whittlesey. He got 7. Okay, how'd we end up there? Karen, what'd you come up with totals? Who got elected?
Kevin Klaus got 7, Stephen Crumley got 5, Bob Fink 4, James Whittlesey 7, that's your 4.
Those are our four.
Can I
Okay.
ask a question of the board members who voted for Stephen Crumley and Bob Fink as opposed to the ones that the committee recommended? Can you just fill us in on the qualifications that you saw as overriding what the committee's
Mr. President,
recommendations were?
I don't think that's appropriate. If we start that, we'll be here all day. We read their resumes. We think they're qualified.
We went through the same vetting period as you
Does
did.
anybody else care about the qualifications of these people, like the committee members who made those recommendations?
That's the reason you don't do it in public.
Well, here we are,
Yeah.
doing it in public.
No, you do the votes in public.
Just the part they want you to see, that's all.
Well, explain to me how our votes shouldn't be public.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't be public, but I think the reasoning should be public. If we're going to sit here and have a public vote and go against a committee's recommendation, I think at least the committee and the people deserve to know why. And if everybody disagrees with that, then everybody disagrees with that. But I just feel like
When we
that
got-
we have governance in the sunshine as long as it's the part you want to shine the light on.
When we got
Because
elected, when we got
Because
elected,
not even the board members know.
I'm sorry?
You didn't share that information with the board members. You asked us to come in here and vote.
I
for
went
it.
to-
Mr.
Well,
President, I raise a
Clearly,
point.
the five
I
of you
raise a
met
point of
privately
order.
and decided who you wanted to
Point
vote
of order.
for.
Personal
And so
attacks
that
don't
was
belong in
done.
this meeting. Every
Oh,
board member.
nobody stood up for me
every
when there
board
was a
member
personal attack
had-
at the beginning of this
Every
meeting.
board member had equal access to the resumes and the application forms of all these candidates. If you didn't read them all, that's on you. It's not on those who read them all.
I did
We
read
will
them
be-
all.
we
My
will-
question
we
is,
will
why
be
did you
here.
choose them?
We thought they were the most qualified.
Exactly, and there's nothing more to say about that. It would be inappropriate for us to get into personalities. So, Mr. President, I move we not follow that process, that we proceed with the vote. I call the question on the next.
So we can't even question the committee members on why they chose these people? Because obviously, they did detailed interviews with them, and they made recommendations. And, in the past, I've always trusted our staff and our committee chairs and stuff like that because they have the expertise in those fields. So, yeah, with Carla, I got questions like, when you're voting on somebody else, I read all the applications too. I tend to agree with 90% of the people that are up with
So,
committee members.
because they're
recommends.
90%, we're supposed to vote for them?
No,
Okay.
I'm just saying, I would like a little more information myself on why,
We saw them as the most qualified.
Here's the thing, this is interesting to me because the five members of this board who ran on this governance in the sunshine also complained that the advisory committee members were just appointed by the board, handpicked by the board. Because apparently they didn't understand this entire process until they get into it, right? And so all I would say is that is what's being done here. We have recommendations from a committee, and now the board is just choosing whoever they want.
The
Hey,
board
Mr.
voted.
Mr. President, can I say
David said-
something?
Yeah.
It sounds like to me, what we're trying to do, or some board members are trying to do, is move all this to an executive session. There's no way that I am going to sit here and I would go into someone's personal feelings and talk about them in public. David, am I
You're-
wrong? Are
you're
we
making a
getting
public
into
vote.
the
You're not
executive session?
You're making a public vote, and there can be public discussion about public votes. And you've chosen to make this a public vote. And as a board member,
totally
I have
disagree.
questions that should be, in my opinion, answered.
I'm
We've
looking at
answered,
There
we've
should-
answered
I'm looking at
the
qualifications.
question, Carla. We are voting, having looked at the applications for the people we think are most qualified, period. Mr. President, I move we move on, except we need a nomination from someone for the liaison.
Among any board members without the rest of the board members? I'm just curious.
There was no executive session held without all the board members.
Just a meeting.
Did I talk to somebody?
Was there a meeting held among board members outside?
Why are we talking about this?
So,
Mr. President, this is out of order. Board members talk to each other all the time if they're going to do their jobs properly. There is nothing inappropriate about that. We
It's a
promised
little bit
you-
unusual,
we-
though, for 5 members
Can
to
I
meet
not be
and exclude
interrupted,
2.
please?
I
didn't interrupt
apologize.
you. We campaigned for government in the sunshine and promised the community that board meetings would be public and nothing would be considered by the board in executive session except what the bylaws say is supposed to be in an executive session. That's exactly what we're doing. So, Mr. President, I suggest that someone needs to, I did the last one, I don't want to do it. Someone needs to nominate the board liaison. We need to move on.
So can I make one last comment? I'm Tom McPhee, Food Service Committee Chair. We had some great candidates, as you can see.
Obviously.
We spent days, not hours, days interviewing them. And as a committee, we stand by the 4 recommendations we made. And nothing against the ones that didn't, but we really went through it. And
I appreciate it.
appreciate your opinions on it after reading them. But if you sit down and talk to them, you might have come up with a different answer.
There's a possibility of that. Is there a motion for the liaison? We need a liaison.
Yes, I vote for, nominate David Taylor.
Are there any others? All in favor of David Taylor? 5-0, 5-1. All right. What's next? Golf advisory. This ought to be special. We will now vote to appoint the voting members of the 2026 Golf Advisory Committee. The Golf Operations Director and the Gold Maintenance Director serve as ex-golf maintenance officio non-voting members of the committee. The applicants for the committee are listed in alphabetical order on the screen. Asterisks indicate the names of the applicants recommended by POA staff. Are those correct? No.
Our recommendations are for Pat White to get the 1-year term that is available due to Carla moving to the Board of Directors, and for John Jodon and Andrea Nielsen to get the 2 3-year terms.
Okay.
So Mr. Jordan should have a star by his name.
What about Ron Coles, Casey?
No, Ron was not one of our committee recommendations. He's been on for many years, so we're going to let him take a
Okay,
year
I
off.
just wanted to double check since it had an asterisk by it.
Call for the vote? Okay, let's do the 2-year term first. You want to do that first? I mean, we got our 3-year term, I'm sorry. The 3-year term first? Then we'll do the 2 3-year terms? Okay. Ron Coles for a 3-year term? David DiBiagio for a 3-year term? Bob Gall for a 3-year term? John Jodon for a 3-year term? Got 7, got 1 of them. Gary Lindeman for a 3-year term? Bill Nance for a 3-year term? David, what are you doing here?
No, sorry.
Yes.
I'm counting in my head.
We got,
That was 3-year?
yes. Bill Nance, or where am I at? You guys got me.
You did Nance.
We had Andrea Nielsen for a 3-year term? Well, we got her to 3 years. Pat White is not there. Okay, for the 1-year term, right, Casey? Okay, we've got Ron Coles for a 1-year term. David DiBiagio for a one-year term. Bob Gall for a one-year term. Gary Lindeman for a one-year term. Got one. Bill Nance for a one-year term. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. And Pat White for a one-year term, 2. Okay, I see Bill Nance. Is that what you got, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill, John, and Andrea.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. President, since we need a liaison, I move to appoint Carrie Brown as the board liaison to the 2026 Golf Advisory Committee.
Second.
I nominate Carla Johnson because she's been on that committee previously and knows the inner workings of it.
Well, I guess I'll second that,
That's fine.
since I volunteered.
All in favor, call for the vote? We good for that? All in favor of Carla? 2. All in favor of Carrie Brown? Yes, ma'am. Please turn the mic on. It's the little talking head there. You can bend that down. There you go.
Okay. I know this is out of order, talking about golf, but are you ever going to have an open meeting to discuss what's going on with golf before you all vote on it?
What is going on with golf?
Well, that's why 3/4 of the people are here to hear your recommendations of golf.
There are no recommendations for golf today, period.
The-
It's not on-
However, I'm sorry, if I could just interject, the resolution that's going to happen after all these committee appointments are made is on a spending and hiring freeze, which
Right.
will impact golf as well as most, if not all, of the other departments in Tellico Village.
The freeze is limited to approval by the board. And,
I know.
okay, then that's what it's supposed to do. That's what the board's supposed to do.
Okay, but it's clear, and I'm sorry, David, I don't mean this to be a personal attack, but you guys can see by how the voting is going here and how the discussion is going here, that we have members who have met and who have
Mr.
had a
President,
role to play.
that's out of
I mean,
order.
honestly, when
Please call
somebody
it off.
was supposed to make a nomination, they're like, that's you, like it's scripted, right? So, I'm sorry, I just really feel like this whole charade of governing in the sunshine
Well,
is
thank you, Carla.
not fair. Okay, you're welcome.
All right, Mr. President, I have a comment. No, I have a comment to all of that. We have been informed that false rumors have been spread saying that in this meeting, the board may be taking some action that could be negative to the Tellico Village Golf Program. That's a quote. That rumor is false. It has, and it never did have any basis. As you will see sitting here, including in votes on the resolutions for freezes at the end, the only action in this meeting relating to golf will be the appointment of voting members of the Golf Advisory Committee. The spreading of those rumors, we know who did it, who many of them were. You'll probably know shortly because it's a true saying, 3 can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. It'll get out. And for the good of the village, that kind of false fear-mongering needs to stop. As for since people reference those of us who ran together, We were elected by the biggest majorities in the history of the village. And go look up the vote totals. And one of the things we were elected to do is to stop this kind of false fear-mongering driving what's going on in the village. There isn't anyone sitting up here who's not in favor of keeping our golf amenities the best that they can possibly be. We've all said that in public many times. So I'm sorry, but you guys fell for something that was simply not true. When we vote for a freeze on hiring, you need to remember a freeze is not a bar. It's common for new management of any kind in any business to come in and say, just keep everything still until we can get a handle on everything. The freeze does not mean there won't be any hiring in golf, in food service, in parks and rec. Take your pick. It's a freeze, which you will see when you see the motion for it. But the lies that were spread about this that got all you here out today are despicable, and in my opinion, the people who spread them are too.
All right. When we get to the resolution on this freeze, we'll have a further discussion on this. So we probably need to get through the rest of the committee appointments so we can move on to the resolution. But I assure you that when things are referred to as false rumors, everything has basis in fact. So David called for no personal attacks earlier, and I will just say this, that everything that this board does in relation to spending and hiring impacts every department. And so the things that have been said in public meetings would negatively impact golf in this regard. So that's why the information is there. And I stand by that.
Thank you. Let's move on to the Highway Advisory Committee. There's 2 spots. One's a re-up and one's new. Is there any other nominations?
Mr. President, can I move that we just go ahead and appoint those 2, since that is the only 2 applicants that we have?
All in favor? No. Well, maybe we got a chance to get back on track. Let's see, who we got next?
I would move to appoint, Mr. President, I'd move to appoint Kerry Brown as the board liaison.
So we gotta get the liaison?
To the Highway Advisory Committee.
A second.
Anybody else? All in favor of carrying the highways? There you go. That one was quick. Maybe we'll get caught up. Karen, can we have the next one up, please, hon? Long Range Planning Committee. The Highway Committee?
Kerry?
No, it's the 444 and the ancillary roads around. The Highway Committee has gotten the money generated for the roundabout at the Food Lion. They're working on getting the light installed down at Mialacqua in Kahiti, coming off of Niles Ferry to the 411. And they're very active with Buddy Pickle, who is our county road commissioner, and the county road commissioner down in Monroe, as well as TDOT. So there, any new highway activity, they are not responsible for the roads inside the village. That falls under PSAC. Thanks, Barry. I assume everybody knows what these committees are going on. So in that space, where are we at? Long range planning. We have, looks like 2 openings. Is that correct? Karen? Two. We'll now appoint the voting members of the 2026 Long Range Planning Advisory Committee. The Chief Development Officer serves as non-voting member of this committee, which is Beth. I don't see her here. The applicants for the committee are listed in alphabetical order on the screen. Asterisks indicate the names of the applicants recommended by POA staff. This year, there are 2 open positions on the committee, and each board member has 2 votes. I will now ask for the board's votes going down the list of applicants. All in favor of Guy Calkins? Oh, there's one. All in favor of John Joden? All in favor of Randall Lowen? All in favor of Sherry Oswald? All in favor of Ted Sherry? Okay. At this time, I'll now entertain a motion to name the board liaison to the 2026 Long Range Planning and Advisory Committee.
Mr. President, Ed and I have this friendly competition about moving and seconding, so I'll do this. I move to appoint Joel Reed as the board liaison to the Long Range Planning Advisory Committee. And I'd observe that because of what that committee is charged with doing, it's going to relate to our balanced scorecard business plan, and that's Joel's area of expertise, so having him in that seat seems to make sense.
I second that motion.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor? 7-0. What's next? Marinas. Good for us. Is there, I don't know, there's 4 again. 4 spots and 4 openings and 4 applicants.
Mr. President, I make the motion to appoint Steve Hyde, William Roy, Wallace Weekly to the 3-year term, and David Copeland to the 1-year term.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Because somebody stepped off. That would be my guess.
And they didn't replace it.
And they were operating with 6, now they're back up to 7. They went through like the Finance Committee did for part of the year. Motion's been called for. All in favor? 7-0. Wow, we can get back onto the plan.
Mr. President,
Oh, we need a liaison, thank you.
I move to appoint Larry Godwin as the board liaison to the 2026 Marina Advisory Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of, on the question? All in favor? Okay. What's next? PRAC. Oh, Simon, what's up?
Hi, Joe had made a comment earlier about any directors here. I couldn't make it up because it was kind of packed in there about the process and that Pat had talked about. But the process from my role is that we get the applicants, we have a standard questionnaire that we ask everybody. I get a quorum of my Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Our role is to interview everybody, and then we make a recommendation to the board for final approval.
Thank you. We have the names up there. Okay. We get 1, 2, 3, 3 votes?
We have two coming in. One person re-up, that was Ken.
But we got to
Mr.
vote it
President,
in.
that still has to be voted. So
Yeah,
we
that's
have-
still got to be voted in.
That's up for that's our recommendation for
Yeah,
y'all
but
to vote.
it's
yes.
still a vote, it's still a
Yes.
vote. You can't,
Yeah, all we
you
do
don't
is,
just-
all we do is recommend, you guys.
yeah, you
tell us.
can't just roll the people over. I'm sorry? Okay. We get 3 votes? Is that correct? Karen? Thank you. The recommended staff have the are the asterisks right on this one? We've been 0 for 2 here lately.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. On the Parks and Rec Committee, everybody gets 3 votes. All in favor of Diane Anda, raise your hand. There's 1 over 7. All in favor of Kenneth Heatley, raise your hand. All in favor of Chris Jacobson, raise your hand. 4. All in favor of Randall Lowen, raise your hand. All in favor of Greg Seaworth, raise your hand. All in favor of Marty Sonfeld, raise your hand. 7. All in favor of Dave Wieland, raise your hand. Karen, I show 7 for Diane, 4 for Chris, and 7 for Marty. Or, right? We agree? Okay. I will entertain a motion to name the board liaison to the 2026 Parks and Rec Committee.
Mr. President, I'll move to appoint Larry Godwin as the board liaison for this committee.
Is there a second?
I second that.
All in favor? All against? You just abstaining? Yeah. Okay. 6-0. Public Services Advisory Committee. Okay, I'm going to ask the question again. Are the stars right? The asterisks in the right place? Sure. Okay.
Question again, we have several people that have are re-upping that are not on the recommended list here. Is there an issue with that? Or, and also in the interview process for all these people, is it been, what extenuating circumstances? Because one of the resumes for the recommendation person, I don't see how he fits into public service at all. So I don't want to go into, even though it's a professional recommendation, should I go and say what his experience was on his resume? But I just don't see how that fits into public service at this point.
Well, you don't vote for that guy.
Okay, so.
Mr. President, just to be sure I'm clear, those stars are in fact the staff recommendations, correct?
I had a very frank and honest conversation with a couple of board members, recognizing that the fact that you go through interviews and you fill out all the forms and you write a cover memo sort of explaining your recommendations, and it was explained to me, we have a pretty good idea who we want to put on the committee, and I said very frankly, not sarcastically, very honestly, thank you, that's gonna save me a lot of time. So I did a quick sort of email sort of application. You'll note you don't have anything in your Teams folder from me. I don't object to these 2 gentlemen. Each of them attend PSAC meetings on a very regular basis. Mr. Alexander and Mr. Bush have served well. Don't have any qualms with either of those 2 gentlemen, but if the board is of the inclination they know who they want on the committee, I just soon you appoint whoever you want, and I'll make it work.
So,
Always have, always will.
so were the other applicants like James Guy, Miller Roy, and Tara Sherry, because one of them has actually wastewater experience, were they interviewed?
No.
So we didn't go through the
Okay.
standard interview process on this, and we're expected to vote for people that are recommended basically by other board members.
So once again, handpicked, board-appointed committees instead of going through the process. I just want to clarify that. Because I will tell you that Jim Alexander's qualifications are impeccable. And he
In the
brings-
electrical space, yes.
And he's not the only one. So all I'm saying is that instead of the committee and the staff going through the process as outlined and approved by the board, some board members just told Matt who they were going to vote for. And so why bother to go through the entire process, right? Save some
What
time.
makes you think we didn't talk to those people?
He
How much-
just told us that they
Whoa,
did
whoa,
not
whoa,
go
whoa.
through the interview process.
No, he didn't go through the interview process.
Well, as the chair of the committee, that would
That-
be not
that's
part
the
of the
proce-
process. I
that's the
usually go
process.
through
In
the
that
interview
space,
process.
allow me to speak, please. In that space, I personally sat down with James Guy, Bill Bush, John Olson, and Gary Zika, personally. Because, not all of them, no. I found the two that I felt best fit the need for the village. Did you sit down with all of the golf committee applications?
The committee did.
Did you?
I was not on the committee.
Okay. So, well, I understand.
Mr.
Since
President,
this is a
I
committee
would add
that's-
something here. My personal opinion, having read all the applications for this committee carefully, this is probably the one where the choice is almost impossible, because every one of those gentlemen has qualifications that are outstanding and relate in some way to what the committee does. So this is a hard choice.
One of those members in his application said he worked with explosives and is a process engineer for explosives and chemicals. I don't see how that fits into
In our public service.
public service, water, and sewer, when you have somebody like in Alexander's electrical, which need electrical experience, and has worked with pumps and tanks in the oil industry. So, for me, that is more qualifying than somebody who's worked with explosive as a process engineer.
Well, Ed, you get to vote that way.
And more importantly, I don't think it's good practice to ignore our processes because we have people that have been handpicked by certain board members to serve.
Mike, if I may, so to that point, the year before last, I was asked by the chairman of the FAC to put in an application for the FAC, and I didn't even get an interview. Told me that I was,
So do you think it's a good idea to ignore the process?
apparently we've got people that are going through and.
That doesn't make it right.
They have the ability to make these decisions.
I'll call for the vote. Every board member gets 2 votes. Please use them wisely. All in favor of Jim Alexander? All in favor of Bill Bush? All in favor of, 2? 3? All in favor of James Guy? All in favor of James Olson? 4. All in favor of William Roy? All in favor of Greg Seaworth? All in favor of Ted Sherry? All in favor of Gary Zika? You've already voted. You've already voted twice. No? 1? Okay. 5. At this time,
Mr. President, before you go on to the liaison, I understand this would be something useful for this committee and make particular use of some of its members and former members who have relevant expertise. I think it would assist the staff and the village. So I would move to establish a 2026 ad hoc lighting and electrical subcommittee of the Public Services Advisory Committee, and I'd move to appoint Bill Bush and Mark Stickle as the members of that subcommittee. Both of them, have done, and I guess Mr. Bush will have done electrical work with the PSAC and, have great skill in that area, and I think they'd be of great assistance to the committee.
Matt, thoughts on that?
No concern, no problem.
I would nominate Jim Alexander for that committee since, as we just discussed, he's got great electrical experience.
Mr. President, unless some of the experts tell me no, I don't see a reason not to have 3 on that subcommittee, so it's fine with me to add
That's
Mr.
fine.
Alexander.
That way they're covered by our insurance as well and the NDAs. All in favor of establishing a 2026 ad hoc lighting and electrical committee with those 3 members, Jim, Bill, and, Stickle? Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark Stickle.
All in favor, indicate by voting. Very good. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for the board liaison to the 2026 PSAC committee.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that you keep that position. I nominate Mike.
Second.
Are there any others? All in favor? I'll get even with you for that, Joel. All right, that's done.
Mr. Chairman, there are several other committees,
Yes.
like the Townhome Association. We need a liaison for that. I've served that for 2 years and do not wish to continue in that role.
You would like to
I
continue?
do not want to continue in that role. It's the Townhome Associate Committee. We've always had a board liaison
How
for
many
that.
townhome associations are there, Ed?
13.
13?
Yeah. And one oversees all of them, and 13 independent below that, so it is there, yes.
In light of that, I would move to appoint Carla Johnson as the liaison to the Townhome
Carla,
Ad
you
hoc
want it?
Advisory Committee.
I've served in that capacity for 2 years prior.
I can't hear you, hon.
Yes, that's fine.
And there was the ITAC committee also. There was some renewals and some new people that were supposed to be
We're
up.
going to get to that, I
Okay,
promise.
I thought we were done.
I don't know what happened to the slides. Maybe I shortchanged it. I apologize. We're going to get to that, yes. Give me just a minute. We got
And
2 more. We got
The
the,
Communications Advisory Committee?
we're going to address that here in just a minute. How come the screen went black, Karen? Oh. Do you have the original single sheet you sent out to everybody? No, the single sheet that had all the names on it. It's in the Teams folder. Yeah, that one.
It doesn't have.
That's what I'm saying. We've got so many blasted committees, it's hard to keep track of them.
The IT committee. Oh, yeah, it is on here. There's 2 spots and 3 applicants. But Karen said she's okay with this since I've been there. I can't get into anything.
Paper chuckle worse. There it is. Can you find this one in the Teams folder that you sent out to us? Any luck, Karen? Here it is. There's another one that's not up there that apparently I just found out about the other day when you sent us a text. There's a Tenassi committee.
Oh. I sent you a text?
Yeah.
Oh, when I sent you the picture?
Yeah, when you sent us a picture.
Yeah, that was what he's referring to is a subcommittee. There's a subcommittee of folks who have been painstakingly choosing all the beautiful finishes and colors and materials and things. But I say that because I'm on the committee, but they are fabulous. And to me, it was a great scene where all of these samples were spread out and everybody was, heads down working on this. And I sent it to the board and said, Tenassi
good.
Subcommittee, hard at work, and staying within budget. And so Mike sent me a text later about the Tenassi Committee, which I didn't have all the answers to because I'm not on the project committee. I'm just on that subcommittee.
We're going to fix that.
So, Carla,
Here we
is this is an ad hoc committee?
Well, yeah, because it will
it'll
only
sunset
be,
when
it
Tenassi's
will
out,
only, yeah,
but
it will only be in
is,
place
yeah, okay.
until all the final decisions
Yeah.
are made for Tenassi.
Right,
Shouldn't we
I
have
just
a board
wanna follow.
liaison to it?
Well,
Yeah, Mr. President, I think we need a liaison to it.
I-
That committee is sort of working on landing the plane with Tenassi, if you want to think of it that way.
We
It's
have a-
almost on the runway, but there's a little bit to go. I think it ought to have a liaison, and I move to appoint Carla Johnson as the board liaison to it.
I second that. She's on it.
You were down there.
She
You were
does
down
it.
there. You sent us a picture. I'm going, what the heck is this? I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, no, that,
We'll be expecting reports on that, some more pictures.
oh, great.
All in favor of Carla taking over the liaison for that?
Mr. Chairman, there was also a subcommittee of just board members that was reviewing the Tenassi project. And I'm the only remaining member of that committee. So, I would like to stay on that committee for continuity purposes. And I would recommend that we appoint two additional members to it.
You got any recommendations?
I am open.
I should have my head examined, Mr. President, but since y'all stuck me with food service, it might make sense if I was there.
I'll
That's
second
going to
that.
be a big food thing.
If I can. Anybody else want a piece of that? Carla, you gonna, is that the same committee?
No. That committee actually reported to this committee. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm learning.
Mr. President, what is the name of this committee?
it is just basically Tenassi Subcommittee. Built, yeah.
It's referenced as the Tenassi PIT, and I think that acronym is Project Information, Project Team. I don't know the acronym. It's just referred to as the PIT,
We-
Project Information Team,
We've
something
been
like
reviewing
that.
Is that where we're
Yeah.
putting the money, is in the pit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading the Psalms this morning, talking about the pit. We needed.
Oh, here we go, Scott.
But
Scott,
I
can
would-
you help us out in that space?
Yeah.
Since it's a board subcommittee, I guess it is
Yeah,
board
there-
members. I'd nominate Larry Godwin to be the third.
All right.
Yeah,
Teach you to sit there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott, help us out here.
yeah, that particular committee, Beth and I meet with on a monthly basis and basically provide project updates, financial updates. So if there's any change orders that come in, they approve that as long as it stays under the guaranteed maximum price. And then we report that out to the board. And that was the authority given to that committee. As far as the other advisory committee and choosing all of the other finishes, paint colors and all of that, that is complete, and all of that stuff is on order. So I expect very limited input from, or need of time from those particular members. All of that's on. But those other three, they get the monthly reports, change orders, financials from the owner. From the contractor. Yes, we are the owner, sorry. And then I report on a monthly basis at the board meetings.
Okay, Ed, does this committee have a charter?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I think it was an impromptu committee that was appointed when Canassie was started. And basically, it was to review the project status and make sure it stayed on budget and on time.
Is there an opportunity that you could provide us with a charter so we know what
I
it's
can
supposed to
create
do?
one if there isn't one.
I'd sure appreciate that. so
Okay,
I know.
thank you.
I got no problem with the committee, I just
Yeah.
want to know what its responsibilities are.
Well, one of the primary things was if there were small change orders that were within budget, that they didn't have to go a complete board vote and stop the process of the build and delay the build.
Because we never get anything done.
Exactly.
I'm fine with it, I just
Yeah.
ignorant of it.
When
I will
the committee was originally established, it was for the purpose of including a good cross-section of people to be able to have input and participate in the process of rebuilding Tenassie. And so there were board members and committee members and property owners at large, just, for the concept of getting a lot of community input
I'm
into
down
building
with
it.
that. I'd like to see the charter.
So as an ad hoc committee, it has a description, but as Ed said, I don't know that it went through the process of having a formal charter or any of that. It was just really a way for property owners to be involved in the project.
I wasn't here when they created the committee originally. I was just appointed to it. So, but
Same.
I'll
yeah,
check on
well,
the charter.
Neither one of us was
Yeah.
on the board when that happened.
Yeah, well, I certainly wasn't here, so if you could get us a charter, I'd sure appreciate it. But the motion's been made for David, Ed, and Larry to be the board portion of that. Is there any others?
Is this called the pit sub? What? Okay. Okay, no, I'm fine, I'm just joking.
Yeah, Larry, we meet the Wednesday before the board meeting, but what this allows me to do is this gives me 3 board members to go to when I need an immediate decision in order to keep the project moving. As an example, we had to get the electrical and data drops in for all of the internet connections, all the new Toast connections, and I needed an answer in like 2 days.
Okay.
So that we didn't stop
like I
that.
said,
So-
I'm not-
So it allows us it really enables us to keep the project moving and all. But it allows us to keep the board members.
I'm not
advised.
opposed to it, I just want to know what its charter is and
Yep.
what it's supposed to do to
Got it.
make sure
That's why I
that
was just trying to
we keep
clarify,
it
Mike.
between the K-rails.
Like I said, if there isn't one, I will create one.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I'd like to get that put up on the website once we get it established, so that everybody knows what's going on. All in favor of the 3 nominees, raise your hand. Okay, you guys are saddled with it, good job. There's another one out, we got comments.
Good morning. I'm Joe Bogardus, a member of the Ad Hoc Marketing Committee, and I can speak on behalf of Fred Toucher myself. At this point, we're feeling a little lonely. Could we please have a board member, as we've had in the past, be a liaison?
Did you have one last year?
Joel was our liaison last year. Our board members are helpful in helping us prepare our twice 2 to 3 times report to the board and formally to the community. They also help us in creating our budget on an annual basis, and we appreciate having someone from the board involved in those activities.
Joe, you got anybody in mind?
Well, Carla has some background in communications, but she only has about 17 liaison responsibilities at this point. I don't know, how do you feel about that, Carla?
I feel great about that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Thank you, Carla.
Thanks, Joe. Like I said, not all the committees are obvious to me, and I doubt that they're obvious to everybody that lives in the village. There's some unique places here, some cutouts. Motion to approve, Carla? All in favor? We'll let Ed vote when he gets back. It doesn't matter. It's 6 and 1 abstention, we're good. Are there any other top secret committees? Oh, yeah, Ed needs to get back here for this.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if you say the Kahidi Fence Committee or the Kahidi Gate Committee. Forgive me,
I
I've
think
seen
it's
it
a
both
fence.
ways. Whichever it is, there is that one. Since he's gone, I get to do this. I believe he's been the liaison, and, he lives in Kahidi, so I moved to appoint Ed as the liaison to the Kahidi Committee, whatever the right name is.
Carly, you good with that?
Absolutely. I'll
Teach Ed-
second it.
We'll teach Ed to walk out. All in favor? All opposed? Hey, Ed, you got your fence committee back.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime. The only thing that I'm aware of that's still out there is the IT committee.
ACC
Yeah,
and
Mr.
communications.
President, I've got a thought about, we missed
ACC was voted
one.
at the last meeting.
Somehow there wasn't a slide for the Information Technology Advisory Committee.
Yep.
And I looked over all of that, tried to do it as carefully as the other committees. I personally think, Matt's even referred to this, and Mr. President, you have, over time here, I think we probably need to look at how many committees we have, how big they are, how often they meet. Cleaning that up to some degree might be a good idea. So for information technology, I would move that it has really good members on it. And I'd move that we start the process of, thinking about size by reducing the size of the Information Technology Advisory Committee to 5, and that the 5 sitting members be the 5.
Ed, you're sitting in there. What do you think?
We've got probably 200 years of IT experience in that committee, and some of it's very diverse. And I think all 7 are needed because the amount of projects that we're doing in the next year, including upgrading our front-end database, integrating systems into the new accounting system. We've been assisting with Toast implementation, which also includes the Toast implementation over at Tenacity as it comes in, and here in January. I think that committee's got a full boat. We're also doing a lot of analytics on different data. So I would say retain the same amount. And one of the members that's actually John McLaughlin is re-upping. One member is leaving, and we're recommending LaVon Mitchell. LaVon Mitchell, when the Toast implementation kind of blew up at Kahidi, she stepped in free on her own time and has helped and assisted both at Toco to make that go smooth, and is working with the Yacht Club right now to make sure that implementation, she's taking on the role as a project manager. And I think that is essential for all the things we need to do. With all the IT stuff that's coming in the next year, you need somebody that's going to help manage across all the different departments. That has been lacking here in IT significantly in the past. That is one of the reasons this committee was created, to give a vision and to help doing, there's extreme amount of work. All 7 members are needed in this committee.
Okay, Mr. President, I would defer to Ed, who's been deeply involved in all this. I don't know if everybody knows that, but he used to do information technology security for law firms, and I happen to know how
I'll hold a
crucial
grudge
that
on you
is.
for that, Ed.
Yeah, so I'll withdraw the motion. Let's
Okay.
put 7, and you've got the candidates up, so you can call the vote.
I would say in 2 years, I would maintain that motion, because that, but
Hopefully.
at this point, there's a lot of work to be done in the next 2 years.
That's fine.
Okay?
So the motion is to the IT committee that we will take, we'll get to vote on, there's 2 of those? Yeah. So all in favor of John McLaughlin? Hearing Ed's recommendation, all in favor of LaVon Mitchell? And we thank Ted Sherry for his application.
Yep.
Is that fair? Is there anything else that I'm missing? Are there any other topics?
I'm looking at that, the communication.
Okay.
Larry, before we move on, if I may, Larry?
Yeah.
We need a liaison, so I nominate Ed Grolimon as the liaison for IT.
All in favor of Ed being the liaison?
I second that.
Ain't nobody else stepping in there. I know I'm not. That's outside of my skill set. It has come to our attention in communicating with the POA staff and general manager about the Communications Advisory Committee. They had 4 goals to achieve this year, and they struggled a bit in that space. I'm not sure that's a committee that we need to maintain at this time. Beth does a pretty good job by herself. And Matt, you have anything to chime in that space?
I really don't. I had a brief conversation with Beth on that topic, and she alluded to the fact that, and I obviously wasn't here, so if this doesn't strike someone as factual, please excuse me. I'm repeating what was told to me, but Beth indicated that in the early days of the communication efforts, it was an incredibly small staff. It was incredibly advisory committee driven. I understood from the discussion that it was prior to Telegram, all those things have changed. Now we have a more robust staff over there. And the amount of work that Communications Advisory Committee has asked is far different than when it was created. In my own experience in the municipal world, we call them advisory committees or advisory boards. Some advisory boards just they're like ships. They need wind in their sails. And if it's not there and the work isn't there, it's, they turn stagnant, and either they get themselves into things that were not intended, which is not what I'm suggesting is the case with the Communications Advisory Committee, but they find their way. And there just comes a point at sometimes when it's seemingly appropriate to take a time out. I wouldn't perceive, I'm not going to speak for the board one bit, I wouldn't perceive that this is the end forever, but it's probably time to retool and figure out how to get the wind in the sails.
My only question with that is, Kevin and his team reports to that committee and our liaisons to that committee. If we want to expand, communicate, we talked about this a year ago, about maybe broadcasting not communications, but finance and PSAC meetings and key meetings. In order to do that, that's got to be staffed. Kevin's one person, so he needs additional people in order to do that, or volunteers. Kevin's about part-time, but also volunteers. So eliminating that committee, I would wonder how that happens, because they also produce a lot of the videos that we get for golf and other departments every year. What would be the impact of that, and who's going to be regulating and managing that?
Our greatest assets in Tellico Village are our people. And one of the best parts of our governance is our advisory committees. It gives property owners a lot of opportunity to provide input into how your community is governed. And I think that's very important. I think I would definitely agree that our Chief Communications Officer, Matt, and this board should probably look at that and see if this committee is operating the way that we need it to support our staff and to advise our staff and the board. But I think that's probably a deeper discussion for another day. So it might be a good idea to put this on the agenda for a future meeting and have more conversation about this, because I think property owners' perspective and how we communicate to our village is really important, and that really helps our communication staff to know what information is needed, is that people are looking for, and the perspective that our property owners have. So I'd hate to see us just say, and we don't like how it's operating, so we're just going to wipe it out, as opposed to maybe having a little bit more conversation. And Beth Kuberka, as the director of that, or as the director advised by that committee, is out of town today, and so I'd like to hear her perspective on this before we do anything drastic.
Is this a motion to table okay, well, make the motion.
I make a motion to table this until we can have further discussion.
I'll second it.
On the question? All in favor of tabling the motion? You got the ball. Close that out for us. Is that the end of the committees? I can't hear you, David. I thought the ACC was voted on at the last meeting.
ACC.
We did ACC during
on
the
December
December
17th,
meeting,
right.
and if I recall correctly, Mike Lackey was appointed as the liaison to the
Yeah.
ACC
We've
committee.
now done all the standing committees.
Is there anything else?
Today was catch-up.
Anything else we're missing, Karen? Because I thought we did the ACC back then because it was important. Yeah? I thought we re-upped.
No,
Yeah,
we named the members.
We
We
re-upped to
did.
3.
We did the members and the liaison at the
so-
December meeting.
One of the things we did, we also did is we also, the meeting that's once every couple of months for like new villagers. We have a board liaison that speaks at that meeting.
Well, thanks for volunteering, Ed.
But I think we need to appoint, we had
Typically,
rotated
we all
that,
take
we rotated that between board members. So we assigned, you know,
Yeah, can we,
how do you want to handle that? I mean, that's one of the other things that, one thing I can
is-
see that's missing.
It could be a good idea if the president does that.
President appoint somebody? I'm down
No,
with
no,
that.
no, no. Does it? New villagers get to meet you.
I'll tell you what, I'll take the first one, and then if time permitting, we'll rotate through there. And
Yeah, if we can come up with a schedule with it, I'll volunteer to take one.
Yeah, I
I've
don't-
taken one or two in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, that's typically what we do. And
Yeah.
Karen, maybe you can provide the dates for those during our January meeting, and let's just, everybody sign up for one.
yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
You don't want to do them all?
No, thank you. Ed, am I missing anything else? Help me out here, buddy.
Not that I can think of, but it's pretty much, it's a lot. It's a
Well,
lot.
it's a lot, and it's good that the village gets to see how much it is.
yeah.
I don't think they fully understand the effort that's put forth by volunteers in our village to help make things better. And I appreciate you guys all being here for that.
And I know I said something about one of the board members, Gordon Young, but I would like to say everybody who volunteers your time and serves on these advisory committees, this is so, so, so important to the governance, to the longevity, to the success, and the satisfaction of life here in Tellico Village for everybody to be a part of this process. And so thank you. And everybody who's not here in this meeting, if you're watching online or whatever, thank you, thank you, thank you for your service on our advisory committees. We appreciate you.
You are all an important part to making this all happen. In that space, let me have this. We're going to, we're done with the voting of all the committee members, right? We don't have to, Karen, I didn't miss anybody, did I? Good. At this time, there's a couple of resolutions out there that were previously discussed and apparently put out on an email yesterday and the day before. Do you have those, Karen? I sent you the email. It was in the email.
The agenda?
Well, the resolutions. It was in an email I sent you, I know. Yeah. I think it ought to be right there someplace.
I had not previously seen the resolutions until yesterday, so I asked for what these, so I can review them. Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and send it to her. Guys, I'm sorry for the confusion. We've had a lot going on, as you can see by the committees.
It's coming your way, Karen.
I'm sending it to you right now, Karen, I've got it, so. I I got the, I just copied the text of it, and I'm gonna send it to her.
Phone a friend.
By technology again.
Yeah, there we go.
No, that's not it. That's the agenda. It's just me trying to do my email from Ed.
Ed's got it.
I got it, so.
Get the IT guy on it. Who else? I know. I'm sorry, Ann. That's my fault.
Okay, I just sent you an email with just the promotion part. So, she got it, so.
You were in the loop.
I know. I just got the same thing over and over again.
You and I both.
It says it's sending, but it's no sent.
We're all old enough, we now all sing
It said it's sent. There we go. Okay. Okay.
So they're two separate. Joel, I think the first one's yours.
Can you blow that up for him, Karen?
Hit the box at the upper right.
Yeah.
The square.
Square goes up, yeah.
There you go.
I'm not sure that helped much.
Mike, we have a comment on our online streaming of a question, and that is about the LRPAC Advisory Committee. The comment is, the list for LRPAC includes names that, to my knowledge, never applied for the committee, and that was Randall and John did not apply. Does that
Karen, can you help
impact
us out in
anything that
that
we did
space?
today?
Carol, I'm sorry, which committee is this?
LRPAC, the Long Range
Long
Planning
Range.
Advisory Committee.
Which two names were not on?
He says Randall and John. He didn't specify. He didn't give me
Well, they-
last names.
They weren't elected anyway, were they?
Okay, I'm just, it was just a comment that, and we are committed to reading these comments that. Okay. Okay, great. It's, okay, he was just clarifying that there were people on the list that
No,
weren't
that's
nominated.
fair. I mean, I got the list. I didn't vet everything.
Thank you, Otto.
Just info.
Thanks, Otto. You're up.
Okay, so at the last board meeting, I talked at some length about the main pump station and the fact that I think it was too late for us to hit pause on that, based on the fact that we have a $2.1 million grant for that main pump station, and we don't want to change anything because we're assured by the previous board that that grant will go through as planned. So we're making zero changes to that. In regards to the additional water and sewer infrastructure projects that are taking place after the main pump station, I recommend that we pause all of those until we can go through the process that I explained before, making sure that we have 3 bidders for anything over $50,000 and that we fully vet what the root cause is while working with our valued utility providers, being LUB and TAS, to make sure that we fully vetted what the best solution is, not only for the quality of that solution, but also for the cost of that solution. So I nominate that we freeze any additional water and sewer infrastructure projects until the new PSAC group can really fully vet what's going on with these before recommending moving forward on any new ones.
My only question on that is, Kahiti's pump station is the next on the list. I know there's engineering studies going on, and we have 40 new homes being being built. If you will go over to Kahiti behind the 7th hole, it's pretty much clear. It looks like they're laying the roads already and getting ready to lay utilities. So that is going to attach in our infrastructure. I just don't want to see any additional delay because I think that is needed with these 40 additional homes and the additional home building we're seeing in Kahiti. that should be a priority.
And we all fully agree with you, sorry, we fully agree with you. One of the things that has happened since we talked to Jacobs, Ed, is that we have met with TAS, and we were working on the assumption that their 500 gallons per minute was their limit. They said, absolutely not, we can take much more, so we'll be able to accommodate the 40 homes plus some in a big way. Thank you.
Now, Mr. President, I would add to that, that's a valid concern that Ed brings up, and I reiterate something I said before. This motion is for a freeze. It's not for an end. And I think the solution to what Ed is saying is the board should work expeditiously with PSAC, maybe start with looking at Kahidi. You got to start somewhere. This is only pending further review and action by the board. It's when new management comes in, it is a routine practice. Everybody hang on till we can take a good look at this. We've got new members on PSAC, we've got new members on the board. That's what this is designed to do. It's not gone forever, and we can work on it quickly.
In that space, we've actually done the same thing with the main pump station. And I'm pretty sure the Kahitians, the original design for Kahiti included a wastewater storage tank at the end of your driving range. And I know a lot of you didn't know about that, and that's part of the research that we've been going over this year. In that space, I don't think you guys wanted one at the end of your driving range any more than the main village wanted one right here at Sequoia. So we went and met with TAS to make sure what flows they could handle, something that hadn't been done prior to the design. And TAS agreed that they could handle all the flows that we could give them. So we're reevaluating that process, and we would like to follow our purchasing guidelines and our engineering guidelines and make sure that we get 3 bids and 3 opportunities. I see a gentleman standing up. Please identify yourself and have at it.
I was just going to wait till the open comment period on both these resolutions.
Well, I think we're there.
You're there for both?
On this one.
Okay. My name's Gary.
I'm sorry, before you do that, I do want to ask this question about pausing this and taking a step back. I want to make sure that we're not having a great impact on, because a lot of times these days when you wait on something, it costs a lot more when you move forward. So I would encourage this board, if this goes forward, to act with expediency and make sure that we're not costing ourselves a lot of money by just delaying projects.
No, absolutely.
And one question here is, okay, with the main pump station, we had 6 people we put out for bid, only 1 bid. What, does that meet our qualifications? I think it would, but I mean, what if we don't get 3 bidders? You talk to a lot of places around here, we're small jobs. They want the big jobs. There's a lot of government money out there they want to do big jobs on. So we may not get 3 bidders on all some of these bids.
There's an opportunity there, Ed, but we won't know that bridge till we cross it. The other deal is, when we go to the local firms around here, the international or the national-based firms don't want to come here. There's a lot of locally based contractors in Knoxville, Chattanooga even, which would venture up here for a smaller project and take that under their wing. And Kerry's very good in that space. I mean, he did it for Chatham County for, 20 years? No. But, so there's an opportunity there. A lot of people won't work with Jacobs. And that's a glitch that, we've got to bridge to make sure that we get the right bidders. I mean, if you go out, and I read the bid package, I read the contract, it is not as robust as I would like for it to be.
And I just want to add to what Carla says is we're not going to, take our foot off the gas. We're going to move full speed ahead with addressing these issues. There is no pause in our plan. Just keep in mind, there's a couple things, and I want to go back and revisit those 3 assumptions, right? Number 1, we were going to work on our I&I, right? Number 2, we had to come up with our own solutions. And number 3, our utility companies wouldn't take any more wastewater. All those have been debunked. I&I, for example, we bought meters, but we found out the meters didn't have a battery life of 18 hours. So all the remediation we did in Kahiti, we couldn't get any conclusive numbers. We're now halfway through the main village, and based on some of the preliminary numbers, not because we have meters, but what LUB is telling us is we were averaging 15 million gallons per month. Now we're down to what? 11 and 12. So we really want to also make sure that we're very well thought in seeing the effect of our remediation efforts, which have been phenomenal. I mean, what these guys they're correcting 25 to 30% of these tank tops that are, that were below grade and fixing those, and we're seeing the results. The unfortunate thing is we didn't purchase the right meters to give us more immediate feedback. So these are things that we're going to be working on in parallel. Certainly not, in a series where we're going to wait until that. We're going to keep working very aggressively.
I'm totally aware of that. I just want to make sure that I fully support the I&I remediation. These tops, some of these tanks have never been looked at in 30 years. So it's something that has to be done just from a maintenance standpoint. So, but I just want to make sure that key projects are not going to get delayed, because I know we're talking, even here in the main village, is talking about additional homes for assisted living. I want to make sure that we can meet those demands and those needs with the systems.
And I believe the system will. The system needs some loving. I'm not saying that. I mean, when I read through the PERs all the way back to 2019, when Bud Murray put the first one together, there was some assumptions there in Kahiti. His simple statement was just need to upsize the pumps. That goes all the way back to the 2019 PER. And when I sat down with Dan Cooper and reviewed it, he goes, yep, we knew that all along. We put the smaller pumps in at first so that we didn't wear out the big ones.
No, and that's fine. I will rely on the experts to adapt, but I just want to make sure the projects are done, efficiently and when they're needed.
And in accordance with our purchasing guidelines.
Yes. And one last thing, Ed, is that, as you know, this year, 2026 that is, we're initiating our preventive maintenance program, right, with the balanced scorecard. One of the things that, as you know, Mike and I went to every one of those lift stations and every one of the water inlets and found that they need love. All right, there was no sanding, greasing, repainting, anything. They're really, you almost didn't want to touch it because you think the rust may be what's holding it together. So we've really, we've recognized that we've got to look in the mirror instead of out the window and start looking at, and also why we're doing all the work that we're talking about, making sure that we're keeping these projects moving full speed ahead, just not spending any additional money until the PSAC can go through and look at the root causes and all the processes. But why we're doing that, we're going to be maintaining those assets and putting those on a schedule and start doing maintenance on those, much needed maintenance, to make sure that we're taking care of our assets.
And Mike, one thing to add on what you mentioned, I took a look at that contract too, and my eyebrows went up a little bit, as I think yours did. I'm not clear that we always have our attorney reviewing contracts like that, and I think one thing we ought to do going forward is at least serious, substantial contracts. I mean, not every tiny little one, but something as important as this, we should have the lawyer look at to make sure all the i's are dotted and all the t's are crossed and everything is addressed that ought to be addressed.
Well, David, as you know, as a lawyer, some lawyers have expertise in one area, some have in others. Yeah, indeed. So maybe Kevin is great for, for POA law and restriction stuff. That maybe we need to have somebody for contract to look at.
Well, I totally agree with that. That's what we just did with the PUC setup and
Ed, have you seen the contract?
Multiple bids is a good idea.
I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
8 pages?
Yeah.
No drawing list, no specifications?
Yeah, and there's no specification on cancellations and things like that. It's very vague.
So, I mean, that's an $8 million project?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many construction contracts I've read over the years, and that is probably the least inclusive one I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. No, I would not have a problem having an expert in contract law looking at it, reviewing our contracts.
There's a couple of, you can buy standard AIA or AGC contracts that have all the clauses in them that the contractors are used to working with, that are usually quite comprehensive and fair for both sides.
Well, and you also remember some of the personnel contracts we looked at in the last year too were kind of vague. So I would be a whole favor of having somebody expert in contracts looking at our contracts.
We'll need to get that out. Go ahead.
I just had a comment. The purchasing policy is still on the list of policies that need to be reviewed and evaluated and updated. the one that we're operating under is from May of 2018, I believe. And there's a lot of absences in that document. Let's just say there are some specifics in there about contracts that are less than 50,000. What circumstances it's okay to have, you've made effort to get 3 bids, but you've only got 1, so what you can do. But there is nothing in there about if the contract is over 50,000 or if it's a construction contract. It doesn't say one way or the other how we are to manage that. So those are the kinds of things that, I mean, a prudent man would make a good decision, I would hope, in any event. But the document itself does not speak to the requirements for contracts more than 50,000.
And we've gone from a growth mode to a sustain mode, and maybe that with all the growth that we've had, maybe we can take a step back and catch our breath and review some of our policies and procedures. We're not building 300 to 400 homes a year now. We're back down to what was the old pace, maybe 100 a year?
Oh, 80 or 90.
Yeah, so now then, hopefully we have the opportunity to get our assets in place, and that didn't come out the way I wanted. Our people to look at this correctly and make the right decisions and get us some institutional knowledge that we can pass on to future boards. We've got a ton of tribal knowledge right now. Well, we always called, BC Tree Service. We always called Teleco Dirt Works. Well, that was great when things were crazy. Maybe there's an opportunity to help develop new relationships this year and the next coming years and see what we can do and institutionalize the knowledge that there's a lot of smart people here. But it's a lot easier when you hand them. I mean, I asked Karen for the policies and procedures books, and she goes, Mike, it's out of date. And Beth's been working on that diligently, but we've got policies and procedures that go back to '05 that probably, if not updated, maybe even eliminated. Just a thought. Sorry, didn't mean to pontificate. Normally, since this isn't on the comment period isn't on the agenda, we wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna bend the rules a little bit here, so don't you guys get too mad at me. Go ahead and tell me your name, where you're from, and what we're talking about.
Thank you. My name's Gary Norgren. My wife Leslie and I live in Tenasseee, and I am a GAC committee member. The reason I'm here today is because of the notice that came out a week ago about a special meeting, and 2 things caught my eye: spending and hiring freezes. And I don't see how any of those things could not impact any of the amenities here at Tellico Village. I'm sure that's why many of the other property owners are here. They saw the same thing: hiring freezes and spending freezes. So it wasn't a rumor. Nobody did anything wrong. You put a meeting notice out that talked about this, and that's why we're here, because it concerns us. So, before you take up the issue of voting on these 2 referendums, and maybe my comments are more geared towards number 2, if number 1, spending, is just geared towards TAP, and my comments really aren't addressing TAP, I'd like to share 4.
If it's not, let us finish with this, and I'll let you back up there when you start on that. Because right now, let's stay on this topic, or we're never going to get anything done.
Okay, all right, I'll come
Is that
back
okay?
and talk about
We'll be
spending and
here all
hiring
day.
non-TAP. You got it.
Thanks, Gary.
I do think it's important to note, though, that doesn't say only TAP spending. It says non-emergency spending, right? So that's
All
a
right,
freeze
well, then
on all
let me just-
non-emergency
I'll come
spending.
up one time.
That's
and I'll be-
misreading the language. That language
Is
says.
spending on hold on everything or just TAP?
No, read it. There is a freeze on non-emergency, so we'll do emergency anyway, but work on TAP projects.
No, the way that
and
sentence is
related-
constructed, non-emergency is not part of TAP, so it is all spending.
No, read the sentence. Let me finish.
You want me to read it? I'll read it. There you go. Okay. Move to approve a board directive freezing all TVPOA non-emergency spending and work on TAP projects and related water and sewer projects, except for the main pump station, and directing that no such spending work shall take place pending further review and action by the board.
Non-emergency
So that
spending.
says all non-emergency
No,
spending.
no,
And water
it
and sewer.
doesn't say that. Non-emergency
It actually does say that,
spending
David.
and work relate to TAP.
It doesn't say that.
The only,
It says
yes, it does.
all TVPOA non-emergency spending.
No,
And then
there
you have a
is no,
conjunction that
there
says
is no
and.
comma
And work
after
on-
spending. It is spending and work on TAP.
Joel,
Okay, so if the intent is not to do any more spending on TAP, why don't we move the non-emergency spending from this, and just make it freezing TOP, and work on TAP projects and related water and sewer projects related, except for the main pump station I-9. So just remove those 3 words, non-emergency expending.
well,
Ed, I'll make a further suggestion so that everybody understands it. Any lawyer would tell you, the way that is written, the only non-emergency spending that's there is on the TAP project. You need to say, if there's an emergency, we're not barring spending. You have an emergency that relates to water and sewer. We're not saying you can't spend that. If it makes everybody understand it better, take the words non-emergency spending, put them later. So we're freezing all work on TAP projects and related water and sewer projects, except the main pump station, I&I remediation, and emergency spending. That's what the thing already says, but if everybody's happier with that language, that's fine.
That's the reason you have lawyers.
I'd be fine with that language change.
Joel, will you accept that as an alternate?
Absolutely. I think it's a great suggestion. Let's make it clear for everybody. We don't want any ambiguity with this, misunderstandings.
That was my thought when I originally seen this was, well, what's an emergency and non-emergency?
Sure.
That could be very deceptive.
No, that's fair.
Not deceptive,
That's a
sorry.
good- that's a
Wrong
good-
word, not deceptive.
that's a good
Very
catch.
relevant, yeah.
That's a good
No,
catch, Ed.
Matt will tell us, if an emergency happens, he'll come to the board and say,
Hell, I'll get a phone
you
call in the
froze
middle of the night."
spending on TAP, but a pipe just burst, or make your own example. That can be done. You don't want to write this in a way that it can't be done. That's why those words are there.
So the motion, do you want to reword it, or how do we?
What I was suggesting, Mr. President, is you take the words non-emergency spending, you're going to get rid of the word and. So it's going to read, freezing all TVPOA work on TAP projects and related water and sewer projects, except the main pump station, comma, I&I remediation, comma, and related emergency spending. You got to be able to spend if there's an
Joel?
emergency.
It's your motion.
Yeah, I accept the modifications to put the non-emergency back in the sentence so we understand it only applies to TAP and water and sewer infrastructure spending. I'm okay with that. I motion to accept that.
Is there a second? David seconded. On the question.
Comment. Since the board has to approve all spending anyway, why do you need a freeze? If you don't want to spend it, don't approve it.
We want to look at it. Right now, there are contracts out there for engineering that are going forward, and that's what we're looking to stop.
So the money has been approved.
Yes,
You're freezing approved spending.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
they're undoing board actions that approved this project to move forward by freezing the spending.
Well, then it might be worthwhile putting a term limit on the freeze, because they're saying freeze, you could freeze this till hell freezes over.
We could also cancel
There
it.
is a term limit. It's the last clause, pending further review and action by the board.
Hope
It's a
it doesn't
freeze.
take till
It's
hell
not an
freezes
end.
over.
And that further action review could be postponed
I'm sorry.
forever.
Please state your name and where you're from.
My name is Dennis Olson.
Dennis
I live on
Olson.
Caugaway in Chota Hills.
Can
Dennis,
we-
we could also cancel it at any time.
That's right.
So, I mean, either way, right now, we're just asking to pause so that we can evaluate some of the recommendations we've gotten from other places. And we've also, Matt's looking to engage 3 new engineering firms that are local.
Would a time frame like a 3-month pause be
It may not be that long yet if we can get this thing going.
Okay.
Okay.
No longer than 90 days would be advisable then.
I think it's a good idea to give ourselves a deadline to review. It says review and action by the board. We need to give ourselves a
Okay.
deadline. That's part of the expediency I was asking for, to make sure that we're not, costing ourselves money just
that's
to
fair.
spend time reviewing it.
Because the action by the board may be to cancel the projects. So would you entertain that, Joel, within 3 months?
That we have more information regarding which projects are moving forward and which ones are being paused?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. We will move through and do the right process, because we talked about before, I accept the process. And the process is very clear that we need to follow our purchasing guidelines, which we didn't do. We only talked to one engineering company to come in and look at Kahiti. And now we've got, based on some work that Matt has done, we've qualified 3 other local engineering firms that we can now engage to do this in a very expedient manner. So I have no problem with saying we can come back to this in 3 months and revisit this.
At an open board meeting.
At an open board meeting, so we can let everybody know where we're at in this. I have absolutely no problem with that.
Motion's
I'm
on the
good with
table.
that. I'll make the motion to accept it with the changes with a 90-day, with the relanguage, what we're doing.
On the question? All in favor? Good. We got something done. There's one more motion to approve a board directive requiring the completion, that's not one.
I've
Where
got
are you
that
at?
one.
Freezing all TVPOA hiring except
Mike, I
for
got that one.
emergency
Okay.
replacements. And
I move to
restaurants.
approve a board directive freezing all Tellico Village POA hiring except for emergency replacements and restaurant positions, and directing that no other hiring shall take place with immediate effect pending further review and action by the board.
On the question?
I don't have a question, but I do want to make a statement. Joel and I, well, you too, Mike, we talked back in September about the most productive and successful employees are the ones who have high morale and who are happy in their job and have job satisfaction. And one of the things that we have to do is protect that work environment for our employees. We want Tellico Village to be an awesome place to live, but also an awesome place to work. I would like this board to not engage in any divisive language. There's no us and them. There's no we and they. The POA sometimes is what they refer to as the staff. We're all on the same side. There's only one side. We have property owners who own in this community. They elect a board to represent them. The board hires a general manager, and the general manager hires the staff that is required to run this village. A huge part of satisfaction in this village is the social structure that is around our amenities and recreation opportunities, including golf, including restaurants, including recreation, and others. Obviously, including the boat, the lake and boating and all of that. All of the things that we enjoy as our active lifestyle here in Tellico Village. And I think it's really important to protect that. And I don't want our employees to be worried about whether they're going to be able to. And for example, I feel like the highest risk that we carry right now, and there's other risks that we carry, but the highest risk that we carry in our personnel is in our golf department. We have a director of golf operations who, when he was interviewed, blew it out of the water, right? The CEO at the time and the other board members who interviewed him were so impressed with his vision for Tellico Village Golf, with his energy for Tellico Village Golf, with his rapport with the members, with all of the things that he does to make the Tellico Village Golf experience amazing for our members, are things that you can't just go out and hire. You can't just find that. You have to recruit that, and good luck finding what we have. That Director of Golf Operations is Casey Flanagan. Yes. He currently is also serving as the head pro at Tenassi because we lost our head pro at Tenassi to another golf club. So he's currently serving in 2 roles, and both of them are full-time jobs. One of the, I don't know if he's the best superintendent in the state of Tennessee. He might be. He's well awarded and well respected, and he is our Director of Golf Maintenance, and that as well as McClure. And here's why I say that we're carrying a risk with these guys. If we were to lose these guys because somebody will pay them more, and somebody would pay them more, Matt just pointed out to us that these guys are people who could go out in a minute and find a higher paying job. Thankfully, they like us. They like the villagers. They play golf with us. I feel like we tried to do our best to show them appreciation and brag on them. And I'm going to tell you, when the PGA professionals event was here in Kahiti, Casey was playing in that, and this was golf professionals from all over the state of Tennessee. And they go out on this course at Kahiti, and about the 3rd hole, they look at Casey and say, "Who's your superintendent?" And he said, "I'm not telling you." because they would be in such high demand. You guys, we don't realize how much money we save by having high-quality people in these positions and the things that they do for us to make this experience great. So I give you all of that to say, if we do this, I'm assuming that I don't really know what the definition of emergency replacements is. I mean, if the whole place is going to burn down because we don't replace someone, that's a pretty high bar, so I'm not sure exactly what you guys have in mind with that. But part of this to me is, and golf is not the only area this will impact, right? This is going to impact the village across the board. When you move to an amenity-based planned development, and you own in that development, you expect to be able to get a golf tee time when you want one. You expect to be able, thank you. You expect to be able to, get a treadmill or a pickleball court or a seat at the restaurant or any number of ways that we utilize and enjoy our amenities. You expect that because that's member value. And I think it's really important for us as a board to look through the lens of member value. Because one of the things, so if we were to lose, Wells McClure, who is, his qualifications are as long as my arm, but all you have to do is go out on any one of our golf courses and you can see his qualifications by how beautiful our courses are. If we were to lose him, to replace him, we're going to have to pay somebody what we should have paid him in the first place. Right? If we lose Casey Flanagan, to replace him, we're going to have to pay that person what we should have paid Casey in the first place. And now we have an unknown entity in both of those positions. So let's just say we lose all of our greens because it's happened around here. We've had golf courses as close as Chattanooga have to close for an entire season, right? And so let's say if we lose our greens for one course, the estimated cost of that would be well over $1 million to fix that problem. And that doesn't even include loss of revenue while that course is unable to be used. It also doesn't include member dissatisfaction because now you can't get a tee time, right? And part of the agenda of this, when it comes down to spending and hiring freezes, is that this board, this new board elected, believes that all of the amenities should break even or turn a profit.
I
shouldn't.
don't believe
you're
I've
right.
ever said that.
I
And
should not speak for you,
And
I
I
apologize.
object to that.
I apologize. I should not speak for the entire board, but it has been stated in public meetings by at least one of these board members that that is their belief. And so when you start looking at that, we had a situation before. I worked at the pro shop at Tenasseee for 6 years. When we allowed a lot of outside play, a lot of outside guest play, to fill up these tea times and increase revenue, I took the phone calls of people who couldn't get a tea time and who were not happy about our courses being filled up by that. And one of the stated goals of one of these board members in a public meeting, so I'm not telling you anything out of turn, is that they want to do 120,000 rounds on these courses, which right now that demand is not there because we're not turning away 6,000 to 10,000 people who want to play golf, 6,000 to 10,000 rounds a year. So we're going to have to generate that demand. So where are we going to generate that demand? Again, aggressive marketing to outside guests and fill tea times that then our members won't be able to get, okay? That's one thing that happens. Another thing that happens is in order to be able to have time for 120,000 rounds, you either drastically reduce or eliminate shotgun events. Shotgun events are a big part of the social fabric through golf and recreation in Tellico Village that we all moved here for. And that's a big deal to me. That was a big reason why I moved here. And it's been you know, a great joy. And I've met most of my best friends through those events. League events would also, again,
Madam Chairman, you're off the topic. We're talking about a hiring freeze.
I understand, but you're talking about,
let's stay
so if there's
here.
a hiring freeze, do you consider a head pro at the Tenasseee Golf Course an emergency replacement?
Are we cutting anybody?
You're not cutting anybody, but there's an open position that's been
How many
approved.
pros do we have? Does anybody know?
Again, it's been
whoa.
approved in the 2026 budget to replace that person. You are undoing that action.
Yeah.
So my concern is, are we now operating without a budget, at least in regard to hiring?
Casey,
we
real
no
quick,
longer-
help me out here. How many pros and assistant pros do we currently have in the village?
We have 6 total golf professionals in the entire village, including myself.
Okay.
We have 1 full-time open head professional position that I've filled for the last 5
That
months.
were coming in through winter. Are your rounds up or down during winter?
Well, your budgeted rounds are down.
Yeah. So all we're saying is, let's have a freeze. I don't see that chasing Casey off. I don't know if a freeze for during the winter months. If he wants to leave for that, then there's very little we can do to keep him. That'll be his call.
Yes, and
Yes, it does send.
we talked
it
about
does send a
employment.
message that we spent $19 million in total expenditures in 2019. Last year, we spent $34 million in 5 years. It went up 72% in expenditures. $4 million? That's what the financials indicate. And actually, food service wasn't even in there till 23. So even at that, all I'm saying is we want to catch our breath. We want to look at this, and we want to make sure we're making the right prudent choices. Like I said, we went from 19.5 million in expenditures in 2019 to 33.7 million last year. Please step up to the mic, and I can't.
Now, let's hear from you guys. It's important. It's important that we hear from our community, so let's do that.
All right,
Are you
Gary.
done? I haven't opened it up to the board.
Oh, sorry.
I will open it up here in just a second. The justification about food service is in there. It's got a little bit, but it ain't 14 million bucks in 5 years. So eventually, I'll agree, we're in an amenities-based community, and we appreciate that. But eventually, you've got to make the budget balance. And you can't continue Joel's brought up, what's wages and salaries gone up in 5 years? Not including for food service.
Without food service, in 5 years, it's gone up 55%. So I know there's some growth in there, some inflation, but there's no organization that I've ever been associated with that has salary and wages going up by over 10% a year for 5 years in a row. No,
but-
this is without food service.
But I
so
would
it's all
pose the
salary wages.
question,
This is all the wages and salaries.
I would pose the question that when we look at positions and salaries and wages, right? We have to be able to hire people at those rates. So we can say, hey, we got all kinds of great golf maintenance jobs open for $10 to $13 an hour, and nobody is going to apply for those jobs. And even if they do, and we get them in and we train them, as soon as one of the factories in Vonore offers them a job at $24 an hour with full benefits, we've just invested in an employee who's going to leave. And so, especially after the COVID pandemic, when people were not coming back to work, we had to step that up because other places started paying hiring bonuses and much larger salaries. And so it's a complex situation to look at. It's not just a simple thing of saying that they increased 55%, because that number also includes benefits, right? Insurance,
It's
things
the
like
whole
that,
cost
which
of the
also
entire
have
cost
gone
of the
up.
village.
So
No,
that's
it does not have
that's a big
benefits.
cost.
That is just salary and wages.
That's just salary
No
and
benefits.
wages. So anyway, all I'm saying is it's not, I just don't think we can look at it and just say that somebody all willy-nilly just said, oh, well, we're just going to pay everybody more, although there may have been some bad actors
was
that
some of
did
that.
that. And I agree with that. But I just don't know that fixing it is, that the way that we should go about changing that is by undoing the board action that was already taken to approve the budget for 2026.
Go ahead.
Mike, I've got a response to some of that. Everybody is misreading this motion. None of
We clearly need to do a better job of writing our resolution so people can understand it.
All right, can I speak now? What Joel referred to is the root problem that this is aimed at getting at. Is it working now? If any organization needs to save money, it has to look at its overall personnel structure and salaries and wages and benefits. That's the biggest single expense in virtually every organization that exists. And some of what's happened in the last few years with that is not sustainable for the village. If you want to maintain the high quality of the amenities we have, we've got to maintain fiscal prudence. There isn't anyone sitting up here that doesn't want to maintain the high quality of our amenities. And I said that repeatedly on the campaign trail. I've never called or said anything about shotgun or any of the other kinds of golf that Carla's talking about. And this motion doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about hiring overall. And unfortunately, sometimes in the past, hiring has happened that's just gone out of control without the board really having a hand on the steering wheel. This is aimed to give the board time to look at this. Now, nothing in this is aimed at golf any more than any other higher, personnel spending in the village. And in fact, it asks for a freeze with some exceptions pending further review and action by the board. It doesn't block, the golf operations director from coming to the board and saying, listen, I need to hire another golf pro, here's why. The board can say yes. There's nothing in this motion that says it cannot do that. What it says is that's not going to happen without the board saying yes, and I think that's very important. I would add, to some of what Carla said, Matt was very kind to arrange orientation sessions for all the new board members, and actually Carla and Ed came along with each of the directors. Now, all of them were impressive in their way and gave us very good presentations, but I will tell you, the two that I found the most impressive were the two from golf. I entirely agree with Carla's characterization with that. And in fact, I thought Casey came, we're trying to get all of the POA staff to come up with creative ways that we can reduce expenditures so that we can reduce subsidies where it's possible to do it, so that we don't have to charge villagers as much money. Casey had the best idea for that I've heard from anybody. I won't talk about it because the board hasn't talked about it yet, but it was extremely creative and forward-looking. Nobody's making this motion because we're against golf. That's just not true.
Okay, one thing, I cannot support this motion as written for several reasons. After spending countless days in budget meetings this year, I sat in every budget meeting anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day for each department, reviewing that, going over all the stuff over the last couple of years I've been on the board. For me, the staff has spent months getting this budget together, which includes staffing and expenditures in here. They've worked hard, and anybody that was on the board previously to see what they did, we gave some tight guidelines for this last year. They, at first they said they couldn't meet them. And then they came back and they did. Matt did a great job of leading that team to do that. Same with Mike Harrington and the finance group. Basically, what we're telling them, we don't trust your work, guys. We don't trust our staff, our guys that are doing this work every day, to present the right budget and numbers. So in that effect, I cannot support this motion.
So finding a path forward with this, I want to just add two things. Number one, we certainly can change this, and we can probably use the same logic we used in the last one, put a 90-day limit on this, right? So let's do that. The second thing is, remember, Ed, during the budget meetings, we could not answer the 55% question in those meetings. We had exhaustive conversations over weeks, and we could not. And what we agreed to in that meeting is that Matt, myself, and the finance staff and board members were going to meet to go over, create a waterfall map to go over why the salary and wages have changed 55% in 5 years, the primary reasons for it, so we can peel the onion and dissect where the concern may lie. So that was not resolved in the budget meeting. That is why this is being put up there. So let's be very clear and transparent about that, Ed, okay? That we could not answer those questions in the budget meeting.
I agree.
And we have a pending meetings that we're all going to be involved in, you as well as me. We'll be going over this in great detail. So let's not give half-truths to these people and let them know that in the budget meetings this was fully exhausted, because it wasn't. It wasn't resolved, and it's still pending.
The 55 million wasn't. The 55 million wasn't. But what you're saying here is you're going to freeze all replacements, which was approved in the budget, which you had input to, and you're going to freeze spending, which has already been approved. So I would like to see, if we want to freeze spending, let's do it an item by item, not by a blanket freeze. So where it can be reviewed by the board. The other thing that gets to me is we're micromanaging the staff. We have a GM to run this place. So why the board's only employee per our bylaws is the GM. So yes, we can set financial requirements and things based on that, but we give that to the GM, and the GM implements it. So he came back with a great budget. Let him do it that, and yes, let's look into the salary stuff, why it increased so much. Let's look at that. But I do not think that should affect the current staff at this point. Maybe sometime 3 months from now, after we look at that, we can say, hey, we've got an issue, we got to do a hiring freeze in these areas. Not overall, just freeze everything.
So Ed, let's be fully transparent, that we found out through the 990 report that the board had no input and knowledge of all salary and wages beyond the CEO. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do, and that's why we created a compensation committee last year.
That's exactly right, and that compensation task is not complete yet. So let's be very clear that we being the board, were very myopic and only looking at the CEO. And the 990 reports, when they came out, and all the consternation it created, was because we were ignorant in that space, and we're trying to correct that. I want to make sure we point out one thing here too, is if you're not looking at this way and thinking this way, you're not looking at it holistically. This says not a single person that works for the POA's job is going to be eliminated. Not a single one. That's job security. And I think we're overlooking that. We want to make sure everybody who's employed at Tellico Village feels safe in their job. That is something else this is saying. So let's be clear about that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I do think it's important for us to stay in our lane, right? Because one of the first things that people will say if they have job dissatisfaction is because they feel like they're being micromanaged, right? And if you look at our bylaws, it's the general manager's role to do these things. And when somebody looked at the 990 and said that the board didn't have any input, I was not on the board at that time, but my understanding is that was the board would be involved and work with Matt on director level compensation, not every employee. And so I just feel like we're getting out of our lane here, and we're taking advantage of having an impact on every single employee. I see that they gave us an exception for restaurant positions, but I don't feel like that's the board's role now. And it's my understanding too that the reason for the input to the director level compensation is because they felt like had been some bad acting before that, and that a GM took advantage of that. So we decided to rein that in, right? So I think that's great. And when I was on the board before, every single year during budget season, I asked for headcount justification. I never got it because Winston Blazer told me that wasn't my lane, that he was the GM and he decided that. And I was like, but you're asking me to approve a budget for, the cost of that and I said, I don't need every single person's name or anything like that. I want the position, why we need it, and what the salary range is. That's all I asked for, never got it. So I agree that we need to have more information. We need to be able to review these things. We need to be able to know. But to get involved in telling the GM whether he can hire or not hire people, especially things that have been approved already in the budget and by this board or by the board, I just feel like that we're out of our lane on that. I agree with that.
Mr. President, I agree with a lot being said right here. I just got to, if Matt came to this board and he has an operational need, I cannot see this board not supporting Matt or whoever the GM will be down the road. I don't understand that. But I do understand that every salary, and I look at 55%, and I wasn't part of that, but I'm going to tell you, that puts it on the backs of every villager. We keep putting it on the backs of every villager, and it seems to be okay to do that. It's not okay to do that. Go out there and talk to people. I mean, quite frankly, I don't golf. Great presentation by Casey. I don't golf, but that's why I moved here, though, because I like the greens. It looks good, I'm a boater. I'm a mountain guy. I like all this other stuff. But I just want to say, this board, like any city council or county commission, I think we are within our lane. And I think we have every right to do our due diligence. And if Matt comes to us or Simon goes to Matt, we're not going to let them do without. We're not going to let something totally suffer because, we froze it. That's not what this means. I think I'll say this, with the budget we have, everything ought to be on the table. Everything. And we ought to look at it. What is wrong, put 90 days on it and looking at it. No one's saying if Casey leaves, I would imagine we're going to be hunting for somebody really quick. I'm not arguing any of that. All I'm saying is we are within our lane here. We have every right to vote on this. I don't see that as micromanaging. I'm not micromanaging Matt. If Matt comes into this board and says he needs something, I'm pretty sure he's going to get it.
But the fact that he has to come to you and say he needs
What's
something
wrong
needs
with
the
that?
micromanagement.
What's wrong with that for 90 days? What's wrong with looking at this budget and looking to see where we are and try to save some
already
money
did that.
somewhere? That's all I'm saying.
How many hours of budget meetings did we sit through to look at this?
Well, and those were open meetings, a lot of those, and very
And
few
Joel and I
people came
both
to us.
voted no on the budget.
Yep.
But the budget passed.
But
The budget was
passed.
approved.
Yeah. So, I mean, are we talking basically redoing the whole budget here? Is that what you're
No.
saying here?
You're blowing this out of context.
No, I'm not, because you're
In that
saying,
space, here's something else. We just, Kahiti last year was scheduled for new furniture, $15,000 in the budget. All of a sudden, Matt comes to us and goes, hey, guys, I need an AC unit because I can't keep a cook down there. We put an AC unit in. That wasn't in the budget.
but the $15,000 for that furniture got removed for that AC unit.
Well, if I had my house and my wife and I had budgeted
Well, I agree.
if I had my house and my wife and I had budgeted $15,000 for a new dining room set and the AC went out, ask her which one she'd want me to buy.
That's
We
great,
agree,
but you
but-
can't pretend like you left the furniture in the budget and then had an
No,
unbudgeted
but I'm
expense of
just
the
saying,
HVAC.
there's an opportunity there for savings and transfers and better management. We haven't had that. Our total solution for the past 5 years, more money, more people, more time. The original cost for the main pump station from, our engineer Jacobs in 2022 was $2.17 million, with a contingency of 50%, which got it up to $3.5 million. And it tells me that when you come in here and you're spending $7 million on a lesser pump station, that we're not doing things right. And we're making
That doesn't have anything to do with hiring.
No, that does nothing to do with hiring.
It has everything. It's a piece of it.
No,
Right, and that's why when you said this is not about golf, it is. It's a piece of it, because everything that's been stated about golf decreases member value.
By me.
No, I'm
Okay.
saying, no, everything that's been stated in public meetings about golf would ultimately decrease member value. It would impact employee morale in a negative way. It would completely change the social, the
Nobody
social
has
structure
said
of
cut golf.
Okay,
There's not
no,
one
but what they
sentence up there
have
that says
said,
cut
what they
golf.
have said is that it has to pay for itself or make a profit. And by doing that, you are changing that, you're changing that culture, right? And you're making it less accessible to members. And listen, here's the thing. I know that everybody in this village doesn't golf. I don't play pickleball, but I contributed to the covered pickleball complex because I know that having the pickleball complex in this community positively impacts my property values because a lot of people want pickleball courts when they move here. So whether you guys play golf or not, having these 3 beautiful golf courses positively impacts everybody's property
I don't
value.
see that says stop funding golf.
It doesn't say stop funding golf, but it does have implications
You're
that
alluding to it
impact
that it
golf.
does.
I'm
and I
alluding
disagree.
to it that it impacts golf. That's what I'm alluding
It's
to.
going to impact everything.
Exactly.
It's going to
impact everything.
Yeah, until we find out
And
what the
so
right
let me
budget
just
is.
say this. One of the big things, and you guys, this has always bothered me, is that the very first directive for the board when we start looking at the budget is to reduce the assessment for amenities. I just disagree with that. We live in, now I'm not saying that we should just spend willy-nilly, but I'm just saying that there
Yes, you
are.
are.
No, here's
Yes,
what I'm
you
saying.
are.
I'm going to read this to you. I'm going to read this to you out of our covenants and restrictions. Assessments. This is from our founding document, Covenants and Restrictions. Section 2, purpose of annual assessments. The annual assessments levied hereunder by the association will be used exclusively for the purpose of promoting the recreation, first word, health, safety, and welfare of the owners, and in particular, the construction, leasing, improvement, and maintenance of properties, services, and facilities devoted to this purpose, and related to the use and enjoyment of the common properties and the improvements situated thereupon. There's more to it, but to suggest that we can't use our assessments to maintain and take care of our amenities and make sure that they're
We are.
provided and taken care of for the long term. You are, but you're suggesting that we don't. That's what's on the table here.
I totally disagree with that. Totally.
That is on the table. That is a false statement. Every time I spoke to
Well, how is it a false
Let me
statement?
finish. I didn't interrupt you. What you're
That
saying, some of
saying
what
that I'm
you're
lying.
saying is not true. Every time I talk to anyone when I was running for the board who brought up, and many people brought up the concept that we need to get our paying extra money, and I'm missing the word, sorry, subsidies for amenities, we need to get that down to zero. I consistently told them, you can't have that as a goal. We need to, what I consistently said to people was, our amenities are important, we need to maintain their quality. If we can reduce contributions to them, that's great. But we may find that you can't get there for all of them. I have never said, cut all the subsidies to zero, and I don't know anyone sitting up here who has said that. That's a false statement.
That is not a false statement just because you don't know. It's been stated in public meeting. It's been stated to me
Not by
personally.
any of us.
That's
by
not true,
anybody sitting
David.
up
That's
here.
not true.
And I will add to this, we've gone way off of this topic. All that this is about is pausing hiring until something else is approved by the board so that we can look at what is probably one of the worst threats to our quality of life here. And I heard that from scores and scores of people on the campaign trail, is that our spending and our taxing is out of control. We need to get our arms around it. You can't let the train keep roaring down the track while you do that. That's the only point here. Nothing in here is against golf or any other amenity. I wouldn't sit still for that, and I don't know anybody on the board who would.
Let's open it up to the,
All righty. Well, I would disagree once again with David that this one directive of the message a hiring freeze sends to the community, the staff, the people who work every day servicing us, providing those amenities, it sends the exact wrong message. And you cannot unplay that card. The fact, Larry, that you would even suggest that if Casey left, we'll just have to go find another one is absurd. Is it wrong? Why should we ever get to that point? Why would we take that risk?
I don't want him to go. I said.
Well, then let's not take this risk.
That has nothing to do with him.
It has Casey and golf are down 4 people. A head pro. We're starting a new club. We're starting a whole new clubhouse with new amenities involved with that. He's having to do that by himself. Wait, I have the floor.
Go ahead.
He's having to do that by himself. Wells is missing an assistant maintenance superintendent at Tenasseee. He's having to run that entire course by himself. He's missing 2 frontline people. Why should we ask these people or the people out there doing the work to just continue to work harder? We're not valuing them in any way, shape, or form. Now, I never worked at Honda, okay? But I did spend 38 years in the steel industry. And the only time we did anything like this was in the most draconian times when plants were about to shut down and we had no choice. We are not in that position in Tellico Village. We need to value our employees. We need to show them how much we care, and sending a hiring freeze right now is the exact wrong message to send them. Do your studies, okay? Find where the $55 million is. But don't tell our employees and our people that we don't value them. Thank you for your attention.
in that space. Karen, can you please start the timer when these people get up?
No, I'm going to go over 3 minutes. It's my right.
Oh, I know you're members, but there's a lot of members that want to talk, and we
Sure.
only have the room so long.
Ready?
Go, Pat.
Thank you very much. I'm going to get some booze from back here. Real quick. Everybody get ready? As soon as I finish and go to topic 2, everybody start booing, okay? Okay. I've sat up there for 6 years. To sit up here for the population to elect those board members, whether you agree, disagree, or whatever, to stand up and call them out by name and be liar, mean names, idiot, whatever you want to call, which I put up with and other board members did for the 6 years I was on there, is totally out of control. If you were in a meeting in your prior job, sitting in a conference room with your boss and your staff, and you stood up and said, "You're a liar," you probably wouldn't work there much more. This is a business meeting. You need to be polite. You need to be courteous, and you need to state what you need to state. If you have a problem, go back and write down every word that was said during the campaign speeches. I did. I know what you said, and I know who said them. So, part 2. What I also learned on this board is that you're treading in some very dangerous water. On the campaign, you all talked about communication and the lack of and what you're going to do all the way to neighborhood meetings, which that'd be absolutely impossible. But you're in this situation today, all of us, because of your miscommunication of what you were going to cover today. I sent out the email that you called me a liar. I read between the lines, and it could have included those things in golf. So I sent out the email. It wasn't Carla Johnson. It was me. You follow? If you want to communicate and you want to tell people what you want to cover, then also maybe put in there, well, let's see, we're going to put on a hiring freeze. Well, we're not talking about that. What you're actually talking about is you had a budget, and you're going to do your due diligence to adhere to that budget, right? Then why go through all of this? It's simple. When the board that I was on, we made some mistakes too, and it was always exactly the same thing like the gun thing. That gun thing was from a person carrying around a gun, with the state of Tennessee passing a law at approximately the same time saying that in the state you can restrict guns in your facilities. They gave you the right if you passed those signage laws. The mistake was we had a staff person out that typed up the agenda, and instead of writing the word discuss, they put approve. And boy, did we take a beating. And the beating was board members called each other and said, we shouldn't be talking about this because the people, I'm not going to pay attention to that. The people called us current board members and said, you don't need to be talking about this. You don't know how many people are going to come. You're going to fill up the whole yacht club. And you know what? And we did. Yeah, boy, we got some participation. And during that, go back and watch the video. I just watched it again the other day. It's still there. Go back and watch it. And people say you cannot restrict my ownership or where I carry a gun. So we sat there at board meetings and listened to you belittle and berate us and tell us, almost every one of you said, you can't tell me what I can't do. Go to the Knoxville airport and walk through with a gun on your hip. So, my next and final, and I won't get into the golf. I sent the email. They have made me really happy that they're not going to discuss it at a 10,000-foot level. They're going to go down to grassroots. You talked of ad hoc committees. You got a golf advisory committee. Casey, myself, Ron Coles, all these people can be on this golf ad hoc committee, and we can figure this out. We can make the LGA, the MGA, all of these golfers happy and keep playing golf. We can do that. But you can't dictate it from a 10,000-foot level. And here's the most important thing that all new board members need to learn, that I had to learn the hard way, and all the other board members had to learn the hardest way possible, is if you sit in here and use words like freeze, no hiring, reduce payroll, 55 million. From that 10,000-foot level, have you gone back and looked at what COVID did to burger flippers in Lenore City? They went from $8 to $16. They couldn't go back to work. The businesses couldn't get them back because the government was giving them money plus unemployment. You remember that? You got to go back there and do that deep dive and find out how we got here, instead of just saying, throw a blanket over it, this is going to happen. Because the warning I'm giving you, board members, been there, done it, lived it, breathed it, and couldn't sleep because of it, is a board member that sits up there and talks about freezes and not hiring and controlling payroll are talking directly to the employees because you're being videotaped. You're telling these employees this is what we're going to do or not going to do for you. And they're watching this. And if you tell them, I don't care, or they go look for another job, they will. And if you get a 10-year employee, starting off, you got this, Joel. Joel and I were involved in a business a long time ago that turnover would kill you. Literally, you can't teach people to be safe, you can't teach them to be productive, and you can't give good customer service. But if you start an employee off today at $16 an hour, and you worked him up for 10 years, he'd be making $42,305, or he would get a raise of $1,212. The new hire would only get $973. You can save a lot of money. But the real money is if you get rid of the 10-year employees, you're saving $10,000 per employee. Holy cow, let's do that. Now watch them leave. Watch them leave. Now you're talking about, what is that buzzing sound my neighbor keeps calling me about? And instead of it taking 15 minutes to get out there and unclog your sewer pump, now it takes 4 hours. That leak that you had on the road, that we get a telegram that says there's a leak and it'll be back covered in 2 hours. Let a person with 30 days do that. So my advice to you is be really careful when you're talking to these video cameras about talking to employees' salary and wages. And you bring up golf again, I'll send out another email.
Dennis Olson back again. I feel like Abe Lincoln after the first speaker at Gettysburg. Pat's a good guy, but he's a hard act to follow. So I'll make just a couple of short points. Number one, are you going to put a hiring freeze on the interim general manager / CEO? That's a hard job to have 2 hats. Number two, if you put this hiring freeze on, you basically put everybody in a stop mode because you can't go out and interview potential applicants and just say, well, there's a freeze on right now, I'll let you know when we can hire you if you pass the thing. That's just a point to make. And 3, if the contracts lack a lot of definition, your proposals here definitely lack a lot of attention. As far as the agenda, the board ought to have the final review before the agenda is published for any meeting. So a lot of mistakes, clerical mistakes, honest mistakes can be avoided if you do that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Barry Coral. I'm from Tomotley Coves. My message here today is to the board, only to the board, okay? I've been here 26 years. I served on this board from 2003 to 2005, a very contentious time in the village, talking about shutting down the yacht club and various other things. I get the sense that there's a contentious board today. It's a little different than I was there. I was one of two newcomers that come in, so we were a minority. Today, the previous board members are a minority. Regardless of that, there's a level of distrust among you board members that were displayed today. So what I'm suggesting to you and asking you to do for the benefit of your functionality, as well as the benefit, most importantly, to the property owners, I would suggest you have an off-site meeting with a facilitator, and you talk about your concerns and what's troubling you, and see if you can start pulling the rope in one direction. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Teresa. I'm from Tokwa. I think it's great to see everybody here. So I come to all these meetings, and typically the attendance is a fraction of this, so it's great for everybody to be here. I'm here because I see all my 18-hole lady players over here who got the same email about golf, and I just wanted to bring something up. So sorry, I don't have anything written down. I hope I get these numbers right, but in the the September meeting, Joel challenged Casey to 120,000 rounds of golf, and he complimented Casey and all the things that he does, and Casey didn't want to do the extended stretch goal, I think is what Joel called it. And then Ed chimed in and gave Joel lots of reasons why we can't do 120,000 rounds. Okay, I thought it was a good exchange. I went home and put pen to hand, because I used to work in sales and I had some terrifying sales numbers and I had to think of them in a small bite. So I did the same process to come up with where could you do 120,000 rounds. So if you all have paper and pencil, remember or write down these numbers. 237 days out of the year, if you spend 6.5 hours of those 237 days is 65% of the year. If you spend 6.5 hours, which is about 80% of a day, an 8-hour day, and you manage your golf course, you run the business, you take control and you run the business at 9-minute intervals, you're going to sell or you're going to generate 169 players. That's 40,053 rounds per golf course. Now, 237 days is 128 days of zero play. So we've got 18-hole league. We're the smallest league. It's a great league. A lot of great players over here. We do a shotgun start. We don't fill up the whole course, and it's great that the golf staff gives that to us. So whatever number we have on that day, maybe that day comes out of that 128 days where we have zero numbers, right? And for our league, I think we have 4 league times per month times, 6 months? So we've got 24 days where you can't hit this number. So to me, it just seemed like something we could do if we wanted to. So that's why I sent this email, and I happened to send it to, I think, Ed, because he was arguing the point against Joel, and I just thought, hey, here's some information, here's some numbers. So I want to thank you all for taking the grief. I expect the grief's not going to get any less. And I'm going to jump now to the main pump station. Thank all of our service people that step up and volunteer. You get zero money for this, but you got lots of time involved. I appreciate the fact that you want to look at this stuff. We had a previous board and PSAC. I mean this in the nicest way, but if it were me, I would have fired every one of those PSAC guys. We have a main pump station, and last month I sat in a meeting and I heard that board member say they went to a meeting and it was divulged that LUB had no idea we were doing this main pump station. What the heck? These are people that should be serving us. So what I'm hearing today, I'm not hearing that you want to fire people. I'm not hearing that you don't want to hire people. I'm hearing you want to understand and make sure we're doing things right. We do have some history that maybe the last board and some committees weren't doing enough of what they volunteered to do right. So I hope we all continue to attend and participate, but please do what's right, because, this is our livelihood. We put our money in our homes here, and we hope to pass our homes on to our kids, and I want this place to be well-run. So I hope you're doing what's right. That's what I'm hearing, but that's what I want to hear too. But thank you, and I hope you all continue to come and speak out, because that's what's going to keep these guys sharp. Thank you.
First of all, I'd just like to thank each and every one of the board members for their time, patience, and putting up with all the BS, as Teresa just said. Some of it's not BS, but we all have our own feelings, and although everyone is not right, everyone is not wrong. And there's a middle ground, and I agree with the last person who said that perhaps you should invest a few $1,000s in having a one-day session of a team-building session, because we all want the same things. I know every member of this board wants the same thing I do. I've lived here for 26 years. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for what you guys do.
Mike Blackwell, I live in Milwaukee. How many of you are here today in the audience because you felt that there might be a threat to golf in Tellico Village? Okay, I'm going to say perception is reality. I don't care who wrote what, when they wrote it, where they sent it, or whatever. When they see things like freezing, and they hear that stuff bantered around, especially by new board members. And again, like my predecessors, I appreciate what you do. I ran for that position once and thankfully didn't get elected because the pay really sucks. But whether or not you perceive this to be a threat to golf as a board, your constituents do. And there's a lot of them here. I mean, it's great that we have a full room, a standing room only. But make no mistake, they're here for golf. And golf is a big, big, big supporter of what goes on in this village. So I encourage you, when you make these decisions moving forward, whatever they may be, please take golf and all of our amenities into consideration, because I forget who it was, I think it was Teresa ahead of me. All of those things bring us here. If it weren't for 3 beautiful golf courses, my wife and I wouldn't have moved here and built a home 8 years ago. We'd be somewhere else. And I asked Casey once about, we're benchmarking. And I said, okay, Casey, how many semi-private retirement communities with 3 golf courses in East Tennessee did you benchmark against? You know the answer to that. So it's apples and oranges. You can make the numbers tell you whatever you want them to tell you. On another note, I just want to make a comment of personal observation to the board. And I mentioned this to Joel a month or 2 ago when I congratulated him on the outcome of the election. What I saw when we were going through the committee voting, okay, I saw David with his head down here, put his hand up for somebody, and then he looked up and saw that none of the other Tellico smart candidates had a hand up. Oh, I rescind my vote. I saw a number of times Ed put a hand up, but they were like referees at a football game. They blow the whistle, throw the flag, and then they look at each other, Ed and Carla, to make sure they're on the same page, okay? I think there is a sense, at least among your constituents, that there is a division on this board. And if you're divided, it's not going to be good for the village. It's not going to be good for us. So I would implore you to put aside your differences, work together as a team, and move the ball down the field, and let's make Tellico Village even better than it is right now, because there's no place I'd rather be.
Mr. President, can I respond a bit to the last speaker, and I think he'll appreciate it. I thought he made some very good points, especially, and I've learned this in the School of Hard Knocks in my life before, perception is reality. You have to deal with perception, even if you think it's not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but you can't ignore it. And I've been sitting here trying to listen to the community, which is something that I promised in the campaign to do before we did something. And I intend to do that. Rightly or wrongly, people think this motion was aimed at golf. It wasn't intended that way, but the perception's there. And partly for that reason, and partly because we need to have I can't talk about confidential stuff that's going to happen in the executive session, but I will say, if we don't have it, things will not be as good for some of the people we rely on if we don't get it done before the end of this month, and we're running out of time to do it. So, Mr. President, I move we table this motion and take another look at how best to get a handle on hiring and spending and, all of the finances of the village.
It was your motion originally, I believe.
I didn't think so. I thought it was Kerry's.
It was Kerry's motion. David?
My thought was table it until the board expeditiously tries to follow the gentleman's advice and tries to work together to figure out as quickly as we can how to get a handle on our finances, which is something we were all 7 of us elected to do, and it is a real threat facing the village, and we need to not ignore that either. I would hate to put a time on it, but we should move quickly. Be my thought.
Gary? Turn your mic on, bud.
I believe there needs to be a time that we look at this, not just we're going to get it done at some point. I would recommend nothing more than 90 days. There's so many things on the list that need to be adjusted, be looked at, be reviewed. We need data. So 90 days, table. That's what I recommend, sir.
I can accept that amendment, Mr. President. We did 90 days, earlier in the meeting for other contexts, so that seems to make sense.
Motion's up to table it for 90 days. All in favor? Oh.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? We're done. Ladies and gentlemen, this
I forgot to
concludes-
say one thing to the last gentleman whose comments I appreciated. I didn't actually take my hand down because I was watching how anybody voted, except they stuck me with being secretary. And so I'm trying to both keep track of, okay, how many times am I supposed to vote? And how did everybody vote? I've been taking notes. Thank God we have Karen, but, I'm supposed to do something. That's all that was going on there.
I would just also like to say a big thank you. I know I said this after the budget meetings because our employees put in so much time, but just every day, all day, what you do to make Tellico Village a great place to live and to work. I appreciate you, all of our advisory committees, as I mentioned before. We appreciate you, and we appreciate the support, and all of you who came out today to pay attention to what's going on, how your governance is working, and to make your voice heard. I appreciate you, so thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the open session. We adjourn the open session.
Is there, on the question, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of closing the open session? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.